ago, Wilson Alvarez made his Major League debut for the Texas Rangers, and he faced only 5 Toronto Blue Jay hitters, failing to retire anyone. But yesterday here at the stadium, that nightmarish outing was quickly forgotten as the lefty from Venezuela was masterful, curling the 17th no-hitter in White Sox history. And as in every no-hitter, there is a spectacular catch, and yesterday was no different. Lance Johnson robbed Chris Hoyles in the 8th with this unbelievable snag, preserving the 21-year-old's no-hitter until 2 outs in the 9th. Whitewash by Chicago, and tonight the Orioles and the Sox close out the 4-game series. It's all next right here on Home Team Sports. Home Team Sports presents Major League Baseball tonight live from Memorial Stadium. It's the Orioles and the Chicago White Sox. Game coverage on Home Team Sports is brought to you by Miller Lite. It's it, and that's that. By the exciting new Subaru SVX Luxury Sports Coupe, coming this August to a Subaru dealer near you. By Texaco System 3 gasoline. Try System 3 because all gasolines are not the same. By Diet Pepsi. You got the right one, baby. Aha! By your local Sherwin-Williams paint stores. The pros know. Ask Sherwin-Williams. And by Suzuki and your Baltimore, Washington area Suzuki dealers. Suzuki, the underpriced overachiever. The last time the Chicago White Sox swept the Orioles at Memorial Stadium in a 4-game series was 1956. And the Sox have that in mind as they'll take the field in the final game of this 4-game set tonight. Hello, everybody. I'm Mel Proctor along with John Lowenstein, and it seems these two teams are headed in opposite directions right now. The White Sox have run 7 in a row, 9 straight on the road. The Orioles have lost 5 in a row, 1 short of their longest losing streak of the year, John.
It might be 1956 revisited because they got their best pitcher on the mound tonight, and Jack McDowell's won 14 games on the year. And he's probably at the point after yesterday's no-hitter from young Wilson Alvarez that even though, as we mentioned at the 7 o'clock opening, that maybe some of the suspense has been taken out of this game, but not for the Orioles because they figure that they have to win this ball game right here tonight because they're playing so poorly at home. They don't want to get swept by anyone, but they'll have to beat the best pitcher on that staff to do it.
Ben McDonald will be facing Jack McDowell tonight. Ben has really been an enigma lately. He combined with 4 relief pitchers to shut out the White Sox in Chicago, but did not pitch well here in his last start. His mechanics were wrong. He obviously didn't have his good velocity, and he's kind of struggling right now.
Yeah, there's too much apprehension as far as Ben McDonald is concerned. I think just let the kid alone. He'll pitch himself out of the troubles he's experiencing right now. Hey, he's just a young lad, just recently out of college. Let's give the guy a break, you know. He's a great pitcher. In my estimation, he's going to have stardom in this game. I think people are making too big of a fuss out of it right now. This ball club's not going anywhere. Let's give Ben the benefit of the doubt. I'll bet you he pitches a good game tonight.
Well, you almost predicted a no-hitter last night in the first inning. You said Alvarez had no-hit stuff, so I guess we can take that to the bank.
Well, unfortunately, McDowell might have no-hit stuff tonight.
The White Sox have been the best road team in the major leagues, 31-21 away from Comiskey Park. They've won 9 in a row on the road. What is the Lowenstein theory about the White Sox success away from home?
Natural affinity for hotel food. This is a group that gets along well together on the road. This is like a family, a baseball club, 25 guys, a manager, and 4, 5, 6 coaches, whatever it is. They have to get together like a family. They have to almost be one. And that's my perception of this ball club, because manager Jeff Torborg is holding this team together. Hey, and when you're a contending ball club, 1 game out of the American League West #1 spot, there's a lot of incentive, a lot of motivation to play well.
All right, John, let's take a look at the Safeway starting lineups for tonight's game. For the White Sox, leading off once again is the left fielder Tim Raines. Robin Ventura, having a big series, will bat second. Frank Thomas in the #3 spot. He's the DH. Carlton Fisk will do the catching and bat fourth. Ron Kittle hitting fifth and playing first base tonight. Warren Newson is in right field. Lance Johnson, who made the spectacular catches yesterday, is again in center. Scott Fletcher makes his first appearance in the series at second base. And Ozzie Guillen at shortstop, batting ninth. And pitching for the White Sox tonight, 14-game winner Jack McDowell.
Oh, Mel, it'd be nigh on to impossible to improve upon Wilson Alvarez's no-hitter of yesterday, but you know, Stanford's Jack McDowell has enjoyed the kind of shut-him-down momentum all season long from the rotation that could conceivably enable the Sox to sweep this four-game set with a victory tonight. You know, at 14-6 on the season, as we mentioned, Jack has a legitimate shot at a 20-win campaign, and he's been a little off his game over his last three starts, and the suspense, as we mentioned, of yesterday's big top performance could take some of the luster off of Jack's game tonight. We'll see.
And the batting order tonight for the Orioles against Jack McDowell. Mike Devereaux will lead off and play center field. Joe Orsulak in left. Cal Ripken batting third. Sam Horn back in the lineup as the DH. Randy Milligan will play first base. Tito Martinez in right field. Leo Gomez at third base hitting seventh. Chris Hoyles will catch and bat eighth. And Juan Bell at second base in the number 9 spot in the order. And opposing Jack McDowell is Ben McDonald.
Hey, the thing about Big Ben is that you know, he's desperately searching for that elusive, consistently sharp touch. That's a must if a starter is to win with some sort of regularity from the rotation. Believe me, folks, it's going to come. And when Big Ben discovers what's required to make his game work for him, all the apprehension and foreboding predictions of doom over the last several weeks are going to vanish. So it's a good match for his counterpart, Jack McDowell, this evening. He'll be a ferocious LSU Tiger attempting to tame that Stanford Cardinal.
And we have a new umpiring crew taking over for this series. Vic Voltaggio behind the plate tonight. Ed Hickok at first base. Jim Joyce at second. And Jim McKean will work at third tonight. Yesterday was quite an afternoon with Wilson Alvarez pitching a no-hitter, the 17th in White Sox history. The last was by Milwaukee's Juan Nieves in 1987, and it's almost eerie how many similarities there were in the two games. Both games were won 7-0 by an Oriole opponent. Each pitcher, Alvarez and Nieves, walked 5 and struck out 7, and each pitcher benefited by a great catch. And Nieves' no-hitter, Robin Yount, made a shoestring catch for the game's final out. And yesterday it was Lance Johnson's great catch that saved the no-hitter for Alvarez.
Now, I'll tell you, on defense, you have to use finesse rather than brawn. Mr. Alvarez knows that, seeing Lance Johnson run around that outfield yesterday. We've seen that from the White Sox in this series. Perfect glove and eye pursuit is what is required to turn a tough play into an out, and Lance Johnson was the master.
The Sox have it rolling. They've won 7 in a row, 17 of their last 20, 21 out of 29, and 35 of their last 47.
I will say this, Mel, with yesterday's loss, the Orioles have hit the bottom of the barrel, as we mentioned, and now after the no-hitter, they can kind of begin their climb to respectability. There's nothing that buries a struggling club any deeper than to have a no-no pitched against them.
The Orioles have gone 1-6 on this 12-game homestand, and they've lost 7 of their last 8 and 5 in a row.
But this is a team comprised of a lot of young kids, and maybe this struggle has kind of gone over the tops of their heads. They realize the difficulty of it, but they're not taking it as if it was a tragedy.
Defensively for the Orioles tonight, the catcher is Chris Hoyles. Randy Milligan at first base. Juan Bell at second. Cal Ripken at shortstop. And Leo Gomez at third base. In the outfield, Joe Orsulak is in left. Mike Devereaux in center field. And Tito Martinez in right. And Ben McDonald trying to square his record at 6-6. He's 1-3 over his last 5 starts.
I'll tell you, Big Ben, he's got a pitch like a roaring train coming through a tunnel. You know, it didn't look like he was throwing with the kind of velocity the last time out that is his trademark, as you mentioned, Mel, in the opening. And that speed has to return. You know, foregoing velocity to correct a flaw of some sort is not the way to go. You know, just a hitter talking there. But anyway, for once in a long while, I'd like to see Big Ben take the mound and not concern himself with anything, not worry about doing this or that, and show us the full-blown artistry of the kind of overpowering pitcher he can be.
Before tonight's game, Tom Davis visited with the starting catcher tonight, Chris Hoyles, and asked him, what are you looking for from Ben McDonald tonight?
Hopefully, a lot of strikes, a lot of first pitch strikes, and getting all 3 pitches over, and we're hoping for a big win with Ben.
There's a lot of competition out here to finally beat this White Sox team now. I mean, they got you 3 straight.
Yeah, I think the most part is just for us to get back on track. I think hopefully it'll start tonight, and then we can go from there.
And it looks like the Orioles have gone to the orange tops tonight to try to stop this losing streak.
Hey, people in baseball are very superstitious anyway. Doing something a little different right here might make a difference. I don't know. It'll be up to Jack McDowell and the Orioles bats. We'll find out soon.
Terry Bevington is coaching at third for the White Sox. And Barry Foote at first base. Oh, the Sox closing in on a sweep. They've gone 5-0 here at Memorial Stadium this year. And Tim Raines, a switch-hitting left fielder, will lead it off. He has done what a leadoff man is supposed to do, get on base and score some runs. He has 7 hits. He scored 4 runs in the series. His batting average considerably lower than it's been in the National League, but he admits he's had some adjusting to do to the different style of pitching in the American League.
Yeah, that's nothing new. I mean, that's the major problem when you come to another league. You got to get adjusted to the pitching.
Strike 1 from Ben McDonald. Ben making his 16th start, his 9th since coming off the disabled list June the 30th. Had some elbow problems earlier in the year. One ball, 1 strike as he brushes Raines off the plate. Robin Ventura is on deck.
The White Sox win the pennant this year. Raines will score right around 90 to 95 runs, and that's probably where they want him. Yep.
He tried to call time, but didn't request it in time, and it's a strike. So it's 1-2.
Well, you can request a verbal timeout, but you have to get a verbal reply, or at least the umpire stepping out and giving you that time. But Ben's way into his windup here, and even though that insect right there was buzzing around his eyeball and his ear, can't just walk out of there. Now, if the umpire would have seen that insect, he probably would have given him time, regardless of where Ben was in that windup.
Two and 2 to Raines. We talked about Ben's loss of velocity in his last start. They wanted him to take a little off his fastball in order to get more control, but it made him less effective.
Yeah, he didn't need that. Taken away from his strength.
Blow him away. And he strikes out Raines with a good fastball.
Yeah, this is the style we've all become accustomed to. That big guy, when he flips that fastball out over the top, it takes a very quick bat to catch up with it.
Ben McDonald beat the White Sox in Chicago. He and 4 others combining on an 8-hit 3-0 win. That set an Orioles record for most pitchers used in a shutout. Here's Robin Ventura, and he takes a strike. In Ben's last start, we saw him trying to go to his breaking ball and changeup early in the early innings, more so than he did in the past, which would have been fine if it had worked, but it didn't. Looks tonight like he's going with the heat early. Breaking ball for a strike. His last start came here Wednesday in a 4-2 loss to the Brewers. He gave up 10 hits and 4 runs over 7 1/3 innings. Fastball is skied in the air to shallow left. Orsolak is in to make the catch. 2 outs.
Yeah, you're right. And pitching is such a mental game anyway. You can't worry so much about making the perfect pitch, especially when you can throw the ball plus 90 miles an hour. And sooner or later, he's going to get that curveball down to perfection. It's going to come.
Frank Thomas 6 for 13 in the series, had a home run yesterday along with 2 other hits. Ball 1 to Big Frank, who is 3rd in the league and runs batted in with 86, trailing Cecil Fielder and Jose Canseco.
This guy just turns the baseball inside out. tremendous power to right center field.
One ball, one strike.
You hang him up by pitching him in off the plate. But he's got such a good eye, often he'll take that ball. But when you get him in a situation where you get 2 strikes, and you got to work the ball in off the plate to him. Right in there.
Strike 2. Ben throwing almost exclusively gas so far. Thomas doesn't like that call.
Well, the big guy's got a natural step toward the plate. And though he's got a complaint on that particular pitch right there, that was a good pitch. See, he says, that ball, I don't think it tipped my bat, as the umpire might have declared. But this is a good pitch. Look where the ball is. See, he doesn't think his bat is near the ball, but his bat is near the ball.
Dick Voltaggio, the home plate umpire.
Yep. Former highway patrolman, he doesn't take a lot of gruff.
Yeah, you know how those arguing with patrolmen works out. Now, don't give me a ticket, please.
You ought to know, pal.
What do you mean, Ash?
Well, what's that there? That's a radar detector. What do you got that for? I'd like to know where you guys are. We all got them.
Thomas hit a home run his first time up yesterday off Dave Johnson. Then in the second inning, he drove another ball to deep right center for a double. That was the ball that Devereaux went up against the fence, tried to catch, and flipped it back in. Thomas hits it in the air to center. Devereaux coming in. And he's got it. So an easy first inning for Ben McDonald as the White Sox go in order. Sox have shown some outstanding defense in this series, and here's how they'll line up tonight for the finale. Carlton Fisk will do the catching. Ron Kittle, who spent some time with the Orioles last year, is at first base. Scott Fletcher at second. Joey Cora has a night off. Ozzie Guillen at shortstop. And Robin Ventura at third. In the outfield, Tim Raines in left. Lance Johnson has been spectacular in center field. And Warren Newson playing right tonight. And the tall right-hander, Jack McDowell, going after his 15th win of the year.
Tall, you're right. At 6'5", McDowell has plenty of leverage on the mound for that high-riding fastball, that forkball, that hard-breaking ball combination. But with that repertoire and pitching style, he can be equally as effective against left-handers and right-handed hitters. So he's got a cocky side to him, which I have always believed to a certain extent can be greatly beneficial to a hurler. It's helped Dave Stieb over his career. It's hindered his performance too, but if you can control it, it's great. But he can strike out batters with his good stuff. He's held opposing hitters to a miserly 225 plus. He's fired 10, count them, 10 complete games. That shows you he likes to complete what he starts.
And you might be able to hear the music in the background. Jack McDowell, an aspiring rock musician who has his own band. Apparently he's pretty good. The group has recorded at least one song that I know of.
For the Orioles, batting first, center fielder, number 12.
So McDowell will try to play his tune on the Orioles tonight. Couldn't resist. Mike Devereaux leading off. Devereaux, of course, hitless along with the rest of the Orioles yesterday. He has just one hit in the series.
Well, Timmy Raines has been important to the offensive flow of that White Sox offensive machine.
Devereaux lines a shot to Ozzie Guillen. Talk about perfect positioning.
Yeah, and Devereaux is equally as important to the Orioles. Well, the Sox were everywhere yesterday. They were where the ball was. Some outstanding defensive plays. Usually there are several in a no-hitter. That's just good direction and good luck on the part of McDowell.
Jeff Torborg gives a lot of credit for the positioning to Terry Bevington and Joe Nosick, who used the computerized information that's fed in from the scouting reports. We get a lot of that information from advanced scout Bart Johnson, and I think they do the best job in the league at positioning.
Yeah, there's Terry right there giving him some signals. Well, they're very active out there. And they move from hitter to hitter. There are a lot of outfields that stay in that same little spot. That's why the grass out there turns brown, because they're in that same spot all game long.
0-1 to Joe Orsulak. Line to center for a base hit. There goes the no-hitter.
Oh, no. That's good, though. Oh, we mentioned that McDowell has not been that effective over his last 3 starts. He's hittable, and he's not invulnerable to having several runs scored against him.
So Orsulak has a 10-game hitting streak going. He leads off with a single, and here's Cal Ripken. Cal came up in the 9th inning last night with 2 outs to face Wilson Alvarez, and pitching coach Sammy Ellis had told Alvarez, don't let Ripken beat you. He's the best hitter on the team. And they basically pitched around him and walked him. Then he walked Dwight Evans as well before striking out Randy Milligan to complete the no-hitter.
Yeah, as solid a piece of advice as he'll get this year.
Ball 1.
Alvarez not only threw a no-hitter and pitched great ball, he pitched smartly. And because of the leadership role that Ron Karkovice had behind the plate, he maneuvered him through that game about as well as you can from a catcher's perspective. Especially when the pitcher doesn't know any of these hitters.
Orsulak's base hit, their first hit since the 6th inning Saturday. McDowell, who is tied for second in the league in victories with 14. Scott Erickson of the Twins leads the league. He has 15 wins. 1-1. Good breaking ball by McDowell.
Good breaking ball, good fork ball, got some velocity on that fastball of his. Very deceptive.
McDowell was 14-9 last year for the White Sox. College star at Stanford, where he broke many of Jeff Ballard's records. Inside, 2-1. One of the things that makes McDowell effective is that he's almost cocky, arrogant on the mound. He's not afraid of anybody. Goes right after these hitters, and he will pitch inside without hesitation. Virtually no wind blowing tonight. Orsulak is running, and Cal lines it in the right center field alley. Orsulak on his way to third. Oh, the Orioles playing hit and run, and Cal Ripken comes through with a base hit to put runners at the corners.
Well, he either has to use more of his repertoire of pitches or throw that fastball downstairs where they can't hit it on a line out there into the outfield grass. His problem is directional control right now. If not for Devereaux's ball being grabbed, the Orioles would be in top flight right now.
The Orioles putting pressure on Jack McDowell early with runners at first and third, and 1 out with Sam Horn up. Horn didn't play in yesterday's game with the left-hander Alvarez pitching. Ball 1.
But you saw yesterday, Mel, how effective one pitcher can be with basically one pitch. That good fastball. He was throwing that breaking ball often, but he wasn't getting it over the plate. So if a guy can utilize that 90-mile-an-hour heater, as McDowell has right around there, he can still win. But he has to locate it right. Look at that, right back up there upstairs again where he's going to get hammered.
Saw Milwaukee pitching Horn upstairs, high and away.
That's right.
So maybe that is the approach.
He's got a little slow bat right now, and if he has to lay off of those pitches, otherwise they're just simple little fly balls to left field.
Jeff Torborg, certainly an expert on no-hitters. He caught 3 of them. Caught 2 Dodger no-hitters, Sandy Koufax in '65, Bill Singer in '73, and caught a Nolan Ryan no-hitter for the Angels. Big chopper to the shortstop, Guillen, over to second to Fletcher in time, but the run scores and the Orioles take the lead.
The infielders had to play so deep that Fletcher could not get to the second base bag in time. That would enable him to complete that double play. Yeah, and Cal was right there on top of him anyway.
Watch him go after
him with the right forearm. A little block with the elbow, the forearm, but he was out of the play anyway. He would not have been able to turn it. Good play by Cal.
So Horn reaches out a fielder's choice and gets credit for a run batted in, his 45th. The Orioles lead 1-0 with Randy Milligan up and 2 outs. Takes a curveball outside.
You mentioned that Koufax no-hitter that Torborg caught. I was sitting in the right field bleachers in Chavez Ravine when Koufax threw that no-hitter. So that was one of the ones that I saw from a fan's point of view.
One ball, 1 strike. It was a thrill for me yesterday because it was the first major league no-hitter that I've called. I've done a couple in the minor leagues. I guess one of my great thrills as a kid is remembering Don Larson's perfect game in the '56 World Series, that final game. I can still see Dale Mitchell striking out, Yogi Berra running out and jumping up on Larson. As clear as his bell. Line foul.
I would have expected yesterday Alvarez to go jumping up into Karkovice's face, but the young kid took it about as casually as anyone could have under the circumstances.
Hey, he'd already pitched 12 no-hitters in Venezuela.
Oh, that's right. What's the matter with me? That's his 13th. Can you imagine that? 13 of them.
Curveball in the dirt, and it's 2-2 to Randy Milligan. Jack McDowell, a first-round pick in 1987, struggled as a rookie in '88. He went 5-10. So they sent him down to the minor leagues in 1989 to get his act together. Apparently they felt he needed to work a little harder, be a little more serious about his approach to the game, and also had some mechanical things to work on. Came back last year and won 14 games.
Well, really, Mel, these guys that come out of college are great pitchers. They're big studs coming out of college. And they come into professional baseball a little cocky, yes, indeed. And they get here and they might have that approach. So it does take something like that to kind of bring them back down to earth.
Horn will be running on the 3-2 pitch. Ball 4. Oh, Milligan draws the walk.
But that's not the problem with Ben McDonald.
Leave him in Rochester where he could maybe win 17, 18 games and really build his confidence.
Maybe, maybe not. It's just the difference is that every game up here in the big league level is a crisis. In the minor leagues, it's not. So that might have been an advantage. But he can learn just as well here and on-the-job training on the big league level. He doesn't listen to too many people. Advice, you have to use that brain as a sieve. You retain what is necessary to complete your task. Too much advice confuses people. Hitters, pitchers.
Tito Martinez has played only once since pulling a hamstring earlier on this homestand. He lines a base hit to right field. Sam Horn rounding third, heading home. Milligan is being waved to the plate. Fletcher fires and Milligan goes back to third. So Horn scores to make it 2-0 on a double by Tito Martinez.
Well, we mentioned before the game to exceed the big top performance that we got yesterday from Alvarez would take one whale of a game from McDowell. Well, the Orioles have come up there swinging the lumber this evening. They're not going to let anything like that happen to them again. Obviously no shutout in the works here because they've taken this game very, very seriously.
It's a great thing about this game. You play another one the next day. You can erase your failures from the previous day. And Horn scores to make it 2-0. Milligan was going to try to score, but wisely held at third, and Sammy Ellis comes out to the mound.
Jack McDowell right now is throwing too many hittable pitches. He knows that. Sammy Ellis, the pitching coach, knows that. Everybody knows that. He has to make the change in his style and pattern out there on the mound. It's all up to him. He puts the ball in play out there. He starts the action.
The Orioles pounded him in Chicago. He gave up 6 runs on 10 hits on August the 3rd. And they lead McDowell and the White Sox 2-0 tonight. Leo Gomez up for the first time with 2 men in scoring position, and he takes a strike. Gomez with just 7 hits in his last 49 at bats. Rather strange how things have turned out. The Orioles very concerned about Gomez's defense, really unconcerned about his hitting, and yet he's played better defensively than he has hit. Although no one's really worried. They think he's going to come around again with a bat. He's hit at every level he's played in.
Well, he really has gone the extra step, though, learning the proper way to defense balls at third.
2-1.
Coaching staff has spent a lot of overtime with him, and he's put the hours in. That's one of the arenas in professional sports, defense, where you can overteach that, because you can never have enough defense.
Popped up foul out of play. I think one of the things that will make Gomez a big RBI man in the big leagues is that he just seems to thrive on coming up there in pressure situations. One of those guys that just likes to come up with a game on the line and with men on base. He's had some mechanical problems lately of pulling his shoulder out, rushing everything at the plate. When he settles down again, I think he'll be a pretty good hitter. And McDowell goes to a full count with him.
Well, you're right about that. Gomez's big problem is that front shoulder. Not only does he lose power, he loses a perspective of the strike zone. You have to keep that front shoulder in there when that ball is coming to the plate. Probably the most important factor in hitting.
Popped up in foul territory off first base. Ron Kittle is over. And he's got it. But the Orioles take the lead with 2 runs on 3 hits off Jack McDowell in the first inning, and it's 2-0 Orioles. At just $14.95 a month, not having a car phone is a crime. Sign up for Cellular One now for just $14.95 a month through September. Plus, get 300 non-prime minutes per month absolutely free. So call 1-800-SELL-1 today. The Oriole flag looking a little tattered, which pretty well summarizes the season. In 6th place, the worst home record in the major leagues. It has not been a good year. Carlton Fisk, Ron Kittle, and Warren Newson to face Ben McDonald in the 2nd inning. Fisk hit a 3-run homer in the first inning of Game 2 in this series off Roy Smith as the White Sox won 6-4. And it was a milestone for him, his 363rd career homer, his 340th as a catcher, which is an all-time record. And McDonald goes right after him upstairs with a fastball. Fisk, with the home run, surpassed Joe DiMaggio for 39th place on the Major League's all-time home run list.
Yeah, well, Carlton is and has been one of the best triple hitters for many, many years.
And McDonald jumps ahead in the count, 0-2.
He's always been a better hitter when the count's been in his favor, but he's one of those hitters who hits like he catches. He just kind of moves around real slowly in the box, kind of sizes things up. Before you know it, he's got the advantage again. So you got to go right after him when you get the edge. Don't waste any pitches. Oh.
Curveball, just shying away from it, but it's called a ball.
I know it's not where they catch it, but you know, watch where the catcher's mitt is.
It's where it crosses the plate. A little high. Ben McDonald has a good curveball. At times he just loses confidence in it. He really needs to develop a consistent third pitch, though. He's got a changeup, but needs a little work on that. Curveball is bounced to Leo Gomez. And he throws out this.
Batting fifth, the first baseman, number 42, Ron.
That'll bring up Ron Kittle, who's back with the White Sox. He was released by the Indians in spring training, signed to a minor league contract by the White Sox, and recently rejoined the club. So he's come full circle. He was the American League Rookie of the Year with the White Sox in 1983. Ball one to Kittle, who played in 22 games for the Orioles last year, but he just never played much, and I really could never understand why on a club that could have used some more power and RBI man. Frank Robinson just didn't play him much. Bounced on the left side. Gomez picks it off and throws him out. What a play by Leo, ranging wide to his left.
What a play. What a help he has been. What an assist he has been to Cal Jr. at shortstop, shoring up that hole right there. That makes your job at short a lot easier, knowing you don't have to go so far to your right to plug that thing up. Just another brilliant play, one of the many that he's made over the last several months.
He is making all the plays. This time going to his left. He's also shown us he can go back behind the bag to his right, make that long throw. He's come in on bunts and choppers. Just making all the plays, starting double plays. He really couldn't play third base much better than he has. Warren Newson up with 2 outs and nobody on. The rookie hitting .289. Good-looking young player. Quick bat, very aggressive. Jeff Torborg took him out of the game in the late innings last night, put Mike Huff in right, trying to protect the no-hitter. Jeff said it was no reflection on Newson, who has played well and had made several catches earlier in the game.
That he did.
But he wanted to do everything he could to allow Alvarez to pitch a no-hitter. Curveball misses away, and it's 2-1. Fastball is fouled off. Over the last 17 games, the White Sox have gone 15-2 and have averaged 7.3 runs and 10.5 hits per game.
That lifts a heavy burden off the starting staff. When over the last several games, as you mentioned, they can score over 7 runs per ball game. It was a heavy offensive output.
Curveball, but he doesn't get the call, and it's 3-2.
You know, sometimes some of these things come around the plate. Maybe it's too high. I don't know. Newson ducking that ball, it's too difficult to measure. Umpires have to straighten these hitters up in their own mind and be able to call the strike.
Newson pops it up off third base. Gomez running out of room and can't make the play.
Oh, Jim McKean could have caught that ball, the umpire. Yeah, I think he was the closest one to it. That ball was hit so high. And in the twilight, difficult to pick up, but he's tracking it, but it's blowing a little bit. There's a wind's blowing from right to left, and the wind caught it there. Watch the umpire. And Leo caught that ball. Jim McKean would have had to have gotten an assist.
No error charged on the play.
Umpires are part of the field.
So again, the 3-2 pitch coming up to Warren Newson. The White Sox won the opening game of the series 7-4 with Brian Draymond getting the win in relief. They took the second game 6-4 with Ramon Garcia winning. Then he was set down. Wilson Alvarez was called up, and he no-hit the Orioles yesterday, winning 7-0. Both Garcia and Alvarez from Venezuela. Venezuela has been good to the White Sox. Country producing Luis Aparicio, Chico Carrasquel, and Ozzie Guillen.
Been very good. A lot of talent down there. I imagine most of the American League teams have Major League scouts in that area.
Well hit, deep left field. Back goes Orsolak to the wall, leaps, and it's gone. Warren Newson with an opposite field home run, his second of the year, to cut the Orioles lead to 2-1.
Well, it doesn't surprise me to see him hit the ball that far, because he takes as violent a hack up there as anybody on the team. It about comes out of his shoes right here.
Here Orsolak colliding with the wall trying to make the catch.
That's good TV. I like that.
Lance Johnson up with 2 outs. First ball hitting flies to right, and here comes Martinez. What a solo homer by Warren Newson has cut into the Oriole lead. It's 2-1 Orioles.
Chris, talk to me. Chris.
He is very depressed.
Welcome back to Memorial Stadium. The Orioles leading the Chicago White Sox 2-1. The Orioles roughed up starter Jack McDowell in the first inning as he gave up 2 runs on 3 hits. But then Chicago came back on a home run by Warren Newson as he hit a 3-2 fastball from Ben McDonald over the left field fence.
Well, regardless of the outcome of yesterday's history-making event, tonight's game features probably the best matchup of the series, with McDowell out there for the White Sox and McDonald for the Orioles. McDowell, of course, reaping the fruit of a success this season at 14-6, and McDonald kind of reaching out for a measure of consistency that could conceivably elevate him to star status.
A great college pitcher at Stanford University, where he led his team to the 1987 College World Series title. He was the winning pitcher in the championship game against Oklahoma State. And that year at Stanford, he went 13-5. He also broke Jeff Ballard's career strikeout record with setting his own with 337. Ballard now in Rochester and struggling. I see he got hit hard his last start.
I imagine Jeff pretty depressed to be pitching up there after, just as recently as a couple of years ago, winning 18 games in the big leagues.
A lot of players, when they're sent down in a situation like that, where they've had some big league success and they go down, it's natural to be a little depressed, and they don't perform too well right away, but eventually the competitor comes out of them and they resurface. Chris Hoyles leading off the second inning, and he takes a pitch low from Jack McDowell.
Well, he hit the ball yesterday, that little soft liner into right center field that Lance Johnson had to make the play of the afternoon on, when he made that tumbling, rolling catch of that ball.
That occurred in the 8th inning as a leadoff batter. Big bouncer up the third baseline. Ventura bare hands it, fires, and Kittle holds the throw. Oh, we've seen some super plays in this series. It was his only chance. He didn't have time to catch it with a gloved hand. His only hope was to barehand it and make the throw.
That's about as good a play as you'll see from third base on a ball chopped like this. You're right, Mel. Had he fielded that ball with a glove, he never would have gotten Hoyles at first. Nice scoop there by Kittle. They don't practice these plays either. It's natural glove work without the glove.
Strike one to Juan Bell, who hit in the number 2 spot yesterday against the left-hander Alvarez, back down the number 9 spot against the right-hander McDowell. He's cooled off a little bit. Hit the ball hard early on this homestand. But he's 1 for 14 over his last 4 games.
Well, again, Mel, he's working himself into a spot where he's getting behind in the count too often now. And it's showing in those numbers you just mentioned.
One and 2 to Juan.
He probably above anyone else has to be exceptionally aggressive early in the count. It works for him. It's much more productive.
Ground ball up the middle. Ozzie Guillen is up with it. And a low throw, but again handled by Kittle.
And he threw that ball low because he didn't realize that Bell was steaming down the line quite that quickly and almost cost him an error.
He's committed 17 errors this year. Mike Devereaux lined to Ozzie Guillen his first time up. Glenn Davis will be in action tonight for Hagerstown, and Bill Ripken will be playing at Frederick on rehab assignments. So as soon as we get some reports on them, we'll pass them along.
Well, that's the advantage of having your minor league clubs and facilities close to the big league scene. These guys can go out practically overnight.
In the inning.
Tell you what, that one was awe-inspiring right there. I thought that last one he made was good play. This is a great play.
That goes to Brooks Robinson inside a White Sox uniform.
Yes, indeed.
The sports writers you read every day come to life on HTS every Monday at 6:30 on the Washington Post Sports Talk. See the faces behind the bylines, exchange opinions and insights with TV and radio personalities, players, and coaches only on HTS. Top of the 3rd inning with the Orioles ahead 2-1. Scott Fletcher, Ozzie Guillen, and Tim Raines to face Ben McDonald. We gave up a 2-out homer to Warren Newson on a 3-2 fastball, but you and I were shouting. I mean, really don't mind seeing him give up a home run like that, challenging a hitter with his best stuff rather than throwing a lot of off-speed stuff and maybe walking somebody, and the home run came with nobody on base.
Right.
Best pitchers in the league give up a lot of home runs. Guys like Bert Blyleven and Jack Morris have always been up there among the league leaders. Jim Palmer as well. If you're around the plate with good stuff, you're going to give up your share of home runs.
Yeah, that home run, not even worth a second thought.
Bounce to Gomez. These 2 third basemen are staging a clinic tonight. Gomez robbed Kittle of a base hit in the 2nd inning, ranging to his left, and Ventura made 2 brilliant plays in the 2nd.
Good defense is the single most important quality a pitcher can have working behind him. If he's got that, he's got a good chance to win.
Ozzie Guillen, who struck one of the biggest blows of the series in Game 2, a home run off Mike Flanagan. That proved to be the game winner. It put the White Sox ahead 5-4 late in the game. They eventually won it 6-4. What a note, Ozzie. It was his first home run of the year and his first in a year. It had been exactly 1 year ago that day that he hit one off Nolan Ryan last season. He strokes it to right. Chito Martinez running hard and makes the catch.
I think Chito thinks there's 3 outs. Cost him $1.
The kangaroo court, they'll get him. You try not to smile, but you can't help it.
Sure. Figured he had to run so far for it, he might as well just come right into the dugout.
Yep, that's 3 outs. Take it on home. Wait a minute. And then he tried to act nonchalant like, yeah, I knew it all the time. I knew there were only 2 outs.
We've all done it.
Tim Raines struck out his first time up. Ball 1. 2 runs, 3 hits for the Orioles. 1 run and 1 hit for the White Sox. Their only run coming on a home run by Warren Newsom. Inside, 2-0.
See, those 2 consecutive changeups right there. That one probably could have been called. He asked Vic Voltaggio where the pitch was. Vic says a little inside. If anything, it grazed the plate.
And McDonald goes 3-0 to Raines, who can do some damage if he gets on base. You got to keep these guys like Raines and Ricky Henderson off the bases. If you walk them, it's almost like giving up a double. And Ben puts him on. That's the first walk he's allowed. So Raines is aboard with 2 outs. And you would think he'd be going if he can get a jump. He's tied for the league lead in stolen bases with Ricky Henderson.
Well, he should be. Shouldn't waste any time either. Should go within the first 2 pitches. With his speed and his knowledge of base running and the fact that he gets a good jump off a guy like McDonald, he should be able to steal second base.
Robin Ventura flied to left his first time up. Raines takes off with a great jump. Hoyles has no shot at him. He got a tremendous jump off Ben McDonald as he steals his 38th base.
It was no secret. Everybody knew he was going to run. The 2 people involved in holding him on and firing him out at second base knew he was going to run, pitcher and catcher. It doesn't matter sometimes when you got that kind of speed and base running agility.
So he gets into scoring position for Ventura, who's been swinging a hot bat. He has 7 hits in this series. He skies it foul. 0-2 to Robin Ventura. Ventura not only hitting well, but fielding his position. Here's the play he made to Rob Devereaux of a base hit.
That was Devereaux. I thought I had a double there easily. And look at another fine play by Kittle down there at first.
Good defense is contagious.
Yep.
Him with a high fastball, and the White Sox leave a runner in scoring position. The end of 2.5. It's 2-1 Orioles, and let's check in with Tom Davis.
Well, we had some technical problems there in the middle of the second, and we want to talk before we do the scores right now to Presley Pullen, who is the president of the Mid-Atlantic Snack Company, and he's marketing these Oreo cookies. And they're Oreos, just like the Oreo sandwich cookies. Explain exactly what they taste like.
Well, they taste pretty good. We think they are, you know, a cross between what you see in the market of the like product, like an Oreo or a Sunshine's High Drops. But we're very excited about the possibilities of it, and especially doing it with our hometown fans, the Orioles.
How about if you can get in there, Chris, a little bit and show the fact that the Oriole bird is on the cookie on one side, and if you flip on the other side, it's got Orioles spelled out. Now, what grocery stores are carrying the Oriole cookies?
Mainly Safeway at this point. We have several of the independent markets that are just starting this week, and the Giant stores hasn't decided to take it on as yet, but we're still working with them in hopes that they're going to take it on. But Safeway is our big gun right now.
Of course, Safeway sponsors the starting lineups here on Home Team Sports. Oreo cookies. We'll take them out to the truck in a few minutes. If you want to hold on to them while I give the scores. Presley, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Okay. We were going to do Presley there in the middle of the second, and we wanted to try to pick up some time there on that. Oreo cookies are very good. I've already sampled them, folks. Boston and Toronto in the American League as we take a look at the Washington Post scores. Toronto now leading Boston 3-2 in the second inning. Jack Clark drove in a run with a double. Mike Greenwell with an RBI triple. Joe Carter driven in one of the runs. Candy Maldonado with a fly ball for the other. California, Minnesota scoreless in the first. Milwaukee and Texas at 8:35 start. Rangers will be in town here tomorrow night in Oakland and Seattle at 10:05 start. The A's with 3 back in the West. Now in the National League, the Cubs won 3-2 in 10. Jerome Walton singled in the game-winning run in the 10th inning. Mark Grace extended his hitting streak to 18. Cardinals lead Pittsburgh 1-0 in the third on a Ozzie Smith single. The Philadelphia lead is 1-0 over Montreal in the second. Dale Murphy with an RBI single. The rest of the games later: Atlanta, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Los Angeles, Houston, San Diego. So that's a complete look at the Washington Post scores and a complete look at where you can find Orioles cookies here in Baltimore. Let's go back upstairs to Mel Proctor and John Lowenstein.
All right, Tom, and you know they're Orioles cookies if it takes you 3 hours to eat them, and they taste better on the road. Joe Orsulak leads off the bottom of the third. He singled his first time up to extend his hitting streak to 10 straight games. Ball one. Jack McDowell falls behind 2-0. Called strike, and it's 2-1 to Orsulak. McDowell lifetime is 3-3 against the Orioles. Two strikes. The Sox have had 2 strong performances from starters, Ramon Garcia and Wilson Alvarez. Charlie Huff did not pitch well. He said it was his worst outing of the season. He was knocked out in the 4th inning. That was a game that was supposed to be the best matchup of the series. Mike Mussina and Huff, who had dueled in Chicago, with Huff winning 1-0, and neither made it through the 4th inning in that game. Line foul. Candyman got hit.
Right through there, didn't it?
Some high cotton.
Line shot through the high cotton.
Got it. McDowell strikes out Orsulak.
That's more like it right there, going to that fork ball and then some of the other pitches he's got. Basically only 3 pitches: that fastball, breaking ball, and fork ball. A little different look. That's a hard fork ball, too.
That's the first strikeout for Jack McDowell, and it brings up Cal Ripken, who singled his first time up. Like a breaking ball that didn't break. Going to brush somebody back, you don't do it with a curveball.
Well, the breaking ball's not working this evening for him. It's difficult to win with 2 pitches, but maybe he'll find that pitch for him a little later in the game. I think he's taking a little siesta right now. That's why he has to be careful where he throws that fastball. No trouble seeing fingers tonight.
Apparently that's why he has them taped. 1 ball, 1 strike to Cal. Jack McDowell, coming into the game in 177 in the 3rd innings, had allowed only 147 hits and has struck out 131 while walking 55. All excellent numbers.
That's a very pretty ratio.
Check swing roller, foul off first base. Kittle flips it up into the crowd. Good to see Ronnie back in the league. He's a good man. Jack McDowell, the rock singer, 14-game winner on the mound for the White Sox. Breaking ball is high, and it's 2-2. Thinking of McDowell and his music reminds you of Denny McClain, who used to play an organ, played in Las Vegas, and Maury Wills played his banjo. Rick Dempsey's done some singing, appeared in some clubs.
Talking about big-time rock and roll now, though. That's big-time money too. That could present a conflict if he gets good at it.
Well, he's good at pitching and strikes out Cal Ripken. That's his second strikeout, both in this inning. He's rocking and rolling on the Orioles hitters so far in this inning.
Another forkball, another split-fingered pitch. Evidently, he takes just enough off of that pitch for it to be very deceptive, very effective. I think it's a fastball coming in, but it is not that velocity behind it.
Sam Horn drove in a run, grounding, reaching on a fielder's choice in the first inning as he bounced into a force play. He pops it foul out of play. 2-1 Orioles, bottom of the third. Jack McDowell against Ben McDonald. The White Sox were unable to pick up any ground on Minnesota last night. The Twins beat Seattle 5-2. From here, the White Sox go to Detroit for a 3-game series, and then to New York for 3 before going back home against the Tigers. 1-1 to Sam Horn. The Road Warriors, winners of 9 straight on the road. Fastball in there, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, it's hard to win on the road, and the reason why is because most home teams can win at home and score pretty good percentages at home, but the Orioles have been the reverse of that.
So you've got the best road team, the White Sox, and the worst home team, the Orioles. And the White Sox have won all 5 games played here this year. Breaking ball low, and it's 2-2 to Horn. Struck him out, so Jack McDowell strikes out the side in the third inning, and it's still 2-1 Orioles. Now in stores, the Pepsi Orioles Collector Can Series. Pepsi is highlighting 7 memorable Orioles moments on their special Collector Can Series. So stop by a Pepsi display today and pick up your Pepsi Orioles commemorative cans. Collect all 7 while supplies last. Mel Proctor with John Lowenstein and Tom Davis back at Memorial Stadium, the final game of this 4-game series. The Orioles leading 2-1, and Frank Thomas will lead off the 4th inning against Ben McDowell. Ben McDonald and Jack McDowell. Big Macs. And they are both
That's
Big
right.
Macs.
Yes,
166, 167.
They are indeed.
Ball 1 to Thomas, who flied to center his first time up against McDonald. Well, he's done some damage this year, hasn't he? Looks like he's got great concentration between pitches. He stares out that pitcher.
He is so relaxed. It doesn't look like anything perturbs him.
Line foul, 2-1. Frank went to Auburn on a football scholarship. He was a tight end, and Auburn's football coach said, Pat Dye said, he had a chance to be the best tight end they ever had at Auburn.
But he has the strength of a Mack truck.
But he gave up football his sophomore year to concentrate on baseball. Little high, 3-1.
That ball was right down the middle. Look how big he is. Belt high.
That high strike you don't see called in this league.
Why not?
plays.
3-2. Ben is going right after these hitters with fastballs. He's had a pretty good breaking ball a couple of times tonight, but he's used it more for show than anything else. But when he wants to put somebody away, he's going after them with a heater. Looks like he tried to throw him a changeup.
Rear back and throw that sucker 100 miles an hour if you have to.
Yep. Tried to finesse him a little bit, throw him a 3-2 change, and he walked him. The second walk Ben is allowed tonight. And it brings up Carlton Fisk, who grounded to third his first time up. Orioles 2, White Sox 1. So that graphic, Fisk and Bob Boone, who both caught effectively into their 40s, and both attributed their longevity to their physical fitness routines. When Boone played for the Phillies, he got into that kung fu routine. Nobody knows exactly what it is, but John Wathan, who was managing the Royals when Boone was playing there, said he went in one time and watched him work out, and he said it was just unbelievable. Fisk is more of a weightlifter. He'll spend sometimes 2 hours after a game in the weight room pumping iron. Dempsey's another guy who started lifting weights in his late 30s into his 40s, and he's still playing. Must be something to it.
Yeah, I don't think he's as avid a proponent of weightlifting as Fisk is, but boy, can you imagine the devotion to duty?
Line foul.
I mean, let's face it, these games get over almost 11 o'clock. And if you're in that weight room for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you're talking about the wee hours of the morning. It doesn't ensure success, weightlifting, but it certainly gives you an advantage in a long and trying season because it builds endurance.
Used to be weightlifting was taboo in baseball. The feeling was that you'd get muscle bound. Wouldn't be able to swing the bat and throw and do all the things you had to do in this game. Ground ball, base hit down the left field line. Frank Thomas on his way to third, and Fisk is in with a double.
Well, he measured it perfectly between the third baseman and the sack. And it's a good thing that ball doesn't rattle around down there too long. And Orsley gets to it quickly because that runner certainly would have come around to score. Just what Fisk wanted. Got that pitch to jerk right down the line. They've set themselves up nicely right now.
Nobody out. Runners at second and third. The Orioles leading 2-1, and Ron Kittle is up. Leo Gomez took a base hit away from him, ranging to his left, grabbing the ball and throwing him out in the second inning. 3 for 5 lifetime against Ben McDonald. Thomas is at third base, Fisk at second. To Kittle.
Throw it.
He stopped doing what was working for him earlier in the game. Now he's going to the changeup and the breaking ball a little more. Another curveball. And he's behind 2-0. That's what happens when you don't have command of those pitches and can't throw them for strikes. If you go away from what was working for you, which was throwing fastballs and getting ahead in the count, now you fall behind and you become very predictable. You've almost got to throw a fastball, unless with first base open, he's going to pitch around him at this point. Wouldn't think so with nobody out. I mean, he's
Got to stay away from the big inning if at all possible. And Al Jackson wants to talk things over with him.
Well, he crossed up Chris on that pitch right there. Chris wasn't looking for what he thought he was looking for.
But I think if your fastball is your best pitch, you've got to use that to get ahead in the count.
You don't put a governor on your best pitch.
Now Kittle will be looking fastball, 2-0.
This is a dead red situation right here. 2-0. You're right.
He sends a fly ball to deep right center field. Frank Thomas is tagging as Devereaux makes the catch. Thomas will score to tie it up, and Fisk advances to third. A sacrifice fly and a run batted in for Ron Kittle.
Well, Kittle's radar honed in on that fastball. He did not get a major part of it, but he certainly hit it deep enough to force the runners an extra 90 feet. I don't know. You want to, with one out here, you want to give him the advantage and give him that go-ahead run. You want to play the infield in and try to smother that thing at the plate.
Well, this is the guy that hit the home run off of him, Warren Newson. After Newson, you have a light hitter, a guy with virtually no power, Lance Johnson. But it'd be tough to double him up, too. Fisk is at third with one out.
Well, they're going to give him the run. He hits at the right spot. Hit it to short, hit it to second. Fisk can score. I don't think the Orioles are in a position to give anybody an extra run.
Especially a team that's averaging 7 runs a game over their last 17 games.
If you play for the little bounder, and if he gets a base hit, so what?
Big swing by Newson, and it's 1-1. He hit a 3-2 fastball over the left field fence in the second inning. That cut the Orioles lead to 2-1. And Kittle's sacrifice fly in this inning has tied it up. Two and one.
Well, maybe Voltaggio can't call a breaking ball. I don't know. There are some there are some umpires who just cannot call breaking pitches very well. And with Ben flipping that one over the top of his head like that, maybe Voltaggio think that thing's coming in too high, but many of them are coming in high, but there are several that have been right there that haven't been called.
Newson pops it up foul. Back in the seats, and it's 2-2.
Well, Newson's swinging from his heels again. And if he were to make solid contact on another one of those fastballs, it'd go about the same spot.
Hitting .480 with men in scoring position.
Oh, those are great numbers.
He's also been the White Sox best pinch hitter. He's got 5 for 11 as a pinch hitter.
That's why getting that breaking ball called against a guy like this would really come in handy, because that would eliminate the one pitch that he'd have a lot of difficulty in trying to hit. Now he's zeroing in on that fastball. Maybe he could throw him that breaking ball now, or a changeup or something.
Curveball, and he fouls it off. Good curveball by Ben.
Yeah, 2-2 count is one of those counts in the where you look fastball, but you anticipate that something else might be thrown. In Ben's case, you're anticipating a breaking ball or a changeup, but you're looking for the fastball. It's a particular mindset, especially on 2-2.
Fastball, got it. Newson strikes out for the second out.
Well, he is vulnerable upstairs. Those are the pitches that most hitters would swing under anyway. He takes a good cut.
Lance Johnson has put on quite a defensive show in this series.
Now this one, he took him all the way back to the Orioles bullpen area to make a grab.
Off Mike Devereaux, bringing it back into the park. And yesterday saving the no-hitter on this drive by Chris Hoyles. He gets an excellent jump on the ball.
Let's face it, proper positioning makes the big difference in being able to be in the right spot at the right time. And earlier you gave a lot of the coaching staff a great deal of the credit for that, and you bet that's an important part of it.
You still have to have the players who can execute, though.
So no question about it.
1 ball, 1 strike to Johnson. He made that tumbling catch off Hoyles leading off the 8th inning, had all 3 putouts in that inning, and then hauled down Devereaux's fly ball to open the 9th. So he was all over the place.
Being in the area allows you to make those catches.
Two and 1 to Lance Johnson. You know, he could even try to bunt with 2 outs here. He's that good a bunter. Good drag bunter. Everybody's playing back. Won't do it now with 2 strikes.
He hasn't even tried, has he?
No, not as much as he's done in the past. He tried it once and fouled it off.
Ben with another strikeout, he could work himself right out of this jam.
Fastball is grounded by Milligan into right field for a base hit, and the White Sox take the lead as Fisk soars. Chicago rallying from a 2-0 deficit, and they lead 3-2.
Well, Johnson's a singles hitter, and that's all he needed. That ball was right up there in his eyes, and he hit it through the hole. You need that kind of good fortune when you're a hitter sometimes.
That brings up Scott Fletcher, who grounded to third his first time up. Johnson, definitely a threat to run in this situation. The White Sox already have a stolen base against Ben McDonald. Raines got a great jump and stole second in the 3rd inning. Johnson has 18 steals. He's been caught 7 times. Ball 1 to Fletcher. Fletcher in his second tour of duty with the White Sox. He was with them from 1983 through 85 and then was traded to Texas, where he had several good years, and came back to Chicago in July of '89 involved in the Harold Baines trade, with he, Sammy Sosa, and Wilson Alvarez coming to the White Sox. 2-0.
Well, you can play games with Scotty up there at the plate. He controls that bat real well, and if you got somebody who can run, you can do something from a managing perspective that you might not look forward to doing in too many matchups like this, with Fletcher at the plate and Johnson on first. Put an infielder in motion, maybe vacate one of those spots and hit that ball through there.
Johnson is running, and Fletcher grounds it to Leo Gomez. Over to first to end the inning. But the White Sox have taken the lead. It's 3-2 Chicago at the end of 3 1/2. Let's go to Tom.
Well, Mel, before we get into some Miller highlights here on Home Team Sports, I've got Kristen Segee with me, and she's here to tell us a little bit about the cruise that's coming up for the players and the fans that want to get involved. Tell us a little bit about it, Chris.
Yeah, it's the Oriole Wives Cruise for the Kids, and it benefits the Johns Hopkins Children's Center. And it'll be Thursday, September 5th, and it sets sail at 7:30, and it's dinner and dancing and a silent auction on board, and it's a lot of fun. And last year they raised $40,000, so it's a great cause, and we just want everyone to participate. And for any further information, just call Julie Wagner in the Orioles office.
Which is 235-9800, I think. Or no, 243-9800. That's 243-9800. How long have you been married to David?
It'll be 3 years in November.
So you're going to be a mama soon, huh?
Yeah, in December 24th. So.
And we'll be looking forward to seeing you on the cruise September the 5th again.
All right, yeah, thank you very much.
All right, Kristen Siggy, and I thank her for stopping by. We're going to take a look now at some of those Miller highlights on Home Team Sports and begin in the top of the first with the Toronto-Boston game. Juan Guzman pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays, and Mike Greenwell will come through with a double to right field that'll score Jack Clark and give Boston a 2-0 lead. So Boston leads it at this point 2-0. Roger Clemens, by the way, is working for the Red Sox tonight. Clemens on the hill in the first inning facing Kelly Gruber, and Gruber will single just past the right of the shortstop. It'll score Joe Carter and advances John Olerud III to tie the game up at 2. Toronto right now, though, in the third inning has a 4-2 advantage over the Boston Red Sox. And Toronto, if they can win, they will snap a 4-game losing streak. They have had their problems with the Red Sox. The Red Sox trying to close in a little bit. They trail by 9. The team that missed a great opportunity to gain some ground yesterday was the Tigers. Tigers wound up losing a doubleheader to the New York Yankees and missed an opportunity to gain a game and a half. Detroit is 4 back now in the American League's Eastern Division. So that's a complete look at the Miller highlights on Home Team Sports. And don't forget that Player Wives Cruise, which is coming up September the 5th. For information, all you have to do is call 243-9800. Back upstairs to Mel Proctor and John Lowenstein.
All right, Tom, Randy Milligan, Chito Martinez, and Leo Gomez for the Orioles in the 4th inning to face Jack McDowell, who struck out the side in the 3rd inning. It looks like McDowell is settling down. The Orioles scored twice off of him in the 1st inning. With 1 out, Joe Orsulak singled to center. Cal Ripken singled to put runners at 1st and 3rd. Sam Horn grounded into a force play with Orsulak scoring, and then 2 batters later, Chito Martinez doubled in a run to put the Orioles ahead 2-0. 1 ball, 1 strike to Milligan. Then Warren Newson hit a 2-out home run the 2nd for the White Sox to cut the Oriole lead to 2-1. Ron Kittle sacrifice fly in the 4th drove in the tying run, and Lance Johnson's ground single to right drove in the go-ahead run for the White Sox. It's 3-2 Chicago. 2-1 to Milligan, who walked in the 1st inning.
It's taken McDowell 2 innings, now that he's in the 4th, to realize that he's got to use all his pitches.
It takes a pitcher sometimes a couple of innings to find out what's working for him, to get into his rhythm, sometimes to get used to a mound he hasn't been on for a while. All of those factors, and McDowell has settled down. But he walks Randy Milligan for the 2nd time. Well, the tying runner's aboard with nobody out. McDowell had retired 7 in a row, but walks Milligan. Chito Martinez drilled a double into the right field corner to drive in a run in the 1st inning. Ball 1 to Chito.
Good pitch with that fork ball right there. Well, you know, Chito's going to make an effort to pull that ball between 1st and 2nd. That's a big hole for him right there.
He hit a few home runs when he first came up, and since then it looks like pitchers have adjusted and began to work him away a lot. And he has shown power to the opposite field. He's hit a couple of home runs to left field.
You bet.
Milligan is running. They pitch out. Fisk throws to 1st, but Milligan gets back.
Heads up play by Milligan. They had him dead to rights at 2nd. Chicago's one of the best teams in the American League, if not all of baseball, in stealing signs. See, Milligan's off and running. He realizes, oh my, they're going to be a dead bird. They get back.
They have a fellow named Joe Nosick who's supposed to be the best sign stealer in baseball.
He's been that way for years, as long as I've known him, since Cleveland days in the 70s.
Martinez hooks one to right in front of Warren Newsom, and he's 2 for 2. The Orioles have runners at first and second with nobody out, and Leo Gomez coming up. Leo fouled to the first baseman Ron Kittle his first time up.
It's not likely he'll bunt, but you just never know what might happen.
He has 2 sacrifice bunts.
Chicago's not taking any chances. You get the corners up. You know, bunt might be in order.
He gets the bunt down, and McDowell goes to the second baseman Fletcher. So he does his job. A guy who not called upon to bunt often, but Leo delivers. And Milligan moves to third, Martinez to second.
Well, that greatly adds to the predicament that McDowell has to handle now, because 2 runners in scoring position now. A little confusion here, but the big guy gets the glove down there first.
Oh, McDowell stepping back off the mound to think about what he wants to throw to Chris Hoyles, who smoked one his first time up, but Robin Ventura made a diving stop and threw him out. 3-2 White Sox, bottom of the 4th. 1 out, and the Orioles have runners at second and third.
Shortstop, the second baseman are back. They're going to give up the tying run. He needs a strikeout or a pop-up.
Slow bouncer up the third baseline. It's a foul ball, I believe. It's a foul ball. Wait a minute. The third base umpire is saying it's foul. The plate umpire, Vic Voltaggio, indicating a fair ball. And we've got an argument going here. Here comes Jeff Torborg out of the dugout. Ventura's in the midst of that argument. Jim McKean, the third base umpire, indicated it was a foul ball. The plate umpire, Vic Voltaggio, said a fair ball.
I think he's going to be overruled.
And now Johnny Oates will come out.
For just a matter of discussion.
Cal Sr.'s about to get thrown out if he doesn't settle down. That's why Johnny came out.
Ordinarily, the rule of thumb for the umpiring crew is that if the ball passes the third base bag, then the third base umpire will make the call. If the ball does not quite make the third base bag, anywhere up to it, then the home plate umpire will call it. But that thing was fielded about even with the bag. That's why you've got the conflicting opinion. What the White Sox are arguing about is this: if indeed that ball was ruled fair, then Milligan is probably safe at third and the runner is safe at first. Now, if it was ruled foul, then everything is as it was, second and third with the hitter at the plate. Those are the 2 lines of communication being discussed out there now.
Nobody seems very happy.
Well, evidently a call that does not want to be made here. We just might as well all go home.
Robin Ventura arguing.
Maybe they're waiting for final arguments. Whoever presents the best argument, they're going to rule on that.
It's like a courtroom.
Uh-huh. He was on the other side of Milligan. Here, you'd be the judge.
That looks like a foul ball to me.
And maybe Voltaggio made a call because no one made a call but Voltaggio. that ball bounds over any part of the corner of the bag in the air over the top, it should be fair, but that's too hard to judge.
It's heating up now. Jim McKean, you remember him a couple of years ago. He was involved in that strange play where Brad Cummins caught a drive at the fence by Cal Ripken and fell over the wall, and he had to make a decision as to whether it was a home run or a catch.
I think Jimmy is explaining to Johnny, see, it's not my call until it gets clearly past the bag. When that ball was struck.
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying. It's not my call.
When that ball was struck, we saw Voltaggio's hand go out with his finger pointing toward the infield. That means he thought it was fair. I don't see how the Orioles lose in this argument.
I think at some point you've either got to decide, look, Johnny Oates is getting thrown out. He's gone. Johnny just kicked some dirt, got thrown out. He's furious. This is as mad as we've ever seen him. Skipper of the Orioles with quite an outburst.
But he makes his point very well. Even when you talk to him, you hear him speak.
I was about to say, you'd think at some point the umpires are going to say it's either foul or fair, and let's get on with it, get everybody off the field. But they're staying out there and arguing. Both managers are out there.
Milligan evidently is being declared out. Even though it didn't look like he was tagged by Ventura until he was on the base.
If he's out, then it had to be a fair ball. Ventura tagged him after he caught the ball. We'll take another look at it in a minute.
Let's see it
again. That's a fair ball.
Let's see if Milligan's not standing on the base when he's tagged. The ball does go beyond him. He does get back too late, but watch this. Is he tagged before that foot gets in?
Yeah, he was.
Here's a better angle right here.
Looks like Ventura tagged him. But it still looks like a foul ball to me.
Did he tag him before his foot got on? No. His foot's on the base.
Still, I thought it was a foul ball. Look where he catches the ball. It's where the ball is, not where Ventura is. That's a foul ball. But the umpires rule a fair ball, and that Ventura tagged Milligan, so he's out.
Of course, the umpires don't have the benefit of a TV replay, but he was tagged after his foot touched the base.
And there's where Johnny got ejected. Johnny Oates coming back on the field. This is live action. He's back on the field. Well, the fans enjoying the show put on by Johnny Oates. So again, it was a fair ball. Milligan caught off the bag by Ventura. He is out for the second out. Hoyles reaches out a fielder's choice. Looked like two bad calls to me.
Definitely.
Looked like it was a foul ball. It also looked like Ventura tagged him too late when he was already on the bag.
That's what happened.
Amazing. Ball 1-1 Bell.
Well, that pretty much coincides with how things have been going here at home, I guess.
Cito Martinez at second base. Chris Hoyles at first. It's 3-2 Chicago. 2-0 to Bell.
You had to applaud Johnny Oates' efforts to try to get the umpires to think the right way.
It was the correct umpire making the decision, though. It was the plate umpire who ruled a fair ball.
Well, it's hard to tell. The ball was caught even with the base.
Ozzie Guillen calling for it. And that ends a most controversial inning. As the Orioles leave 2 men on base at the end of 4, it's still 3-2 White Sox. This is the Home Team Sports Cable Network.
I'm Tom Davis. Don't miss the Orioles report a half hour before each Orioles game, exclusively here on Home Team Sports.
It's worth another look.
It might not be good umpiring, but it's good television as he catches this ball behind the bag and moves up to touch Milligan. But Milligan, of course, is going to have his foot on the base before Ventura tags him in the chest. He hasn't tagged him at this point, as you can clearly see from the other angle. Now, with the ball being caught behind the bag, that's Jim McKean's call at third base. That was overruled because Voltaggio made the call. And the throw to first was late. At the worst, the bases should have been loaded with a single out.
Well, the Orioles lose all the way around. Milligan is out at third. Johnny Oates gets thrown out of the game.
Yep.
And the Orioles fail to score a run. Here's Ozzie Guillen leading off for the White Sox, and he takes a pitch high from Ben McDonald. Ozzie flied to right his first time up. Ben has allowed 3 runs on 3 hits. He's walked 2, struck out 3 so far, and given up 1 home run. Slow roller up the first baseline to Milligan, and he records the out.
As an umpire, you just cannot afford in this game to take a little breather. You do this game will jump right up and bite you in the seat of the pants, just like it bit Jim McKean that time. But they're human. Somebody said that.
Wasn't Lou Piniella, was it? Tim Raines has struck out and walked. Another chance for Milligan. 2 outs.
No, I don't think it was Lou.
He wasn't quite that diplomatic. How about the umpires union filing a $5 million suit against him for defamation?
Ridiculous.
Come on. Here's Ventura, who was part of that controversial play.
He pleaded his argument well, did he not? On the infield grass. Got the call reversed or whatever it was.
Strike 1. Three runs, 3 hits, no errors for Chicago. 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors for the Orioles. High fly ball to left field. Orsulak moving toward the line. And he's got it for the 3rd out. We go to the bottom of the 5th with the White Sox leading by a run. Let's go back to Tom.
All right, Mel, we're going to take a look at the scoreboard one more time here on Home Team Sports. The Toronto Blue Jays, who are trying to right themselves after 4 straight losses, including 3 to the Boston Red Sox, right now have a 6-5 advantage over the Boston Red Sox. The game is in the 3rd inning as we take a look at the Washington Post scores. Candy Maldonado just hit a 2-run homer to put Toronto up. Earlier, Ellis Burks drove in a run with a single. Mike Greenwell's having a great night. He drove in 2 runs with a triple, another with a double. Jack Clark tripled in 1. So the Red Sox have been hitting. Right now they're trailing by a run. Joe Carter also drove in a run with a double. 1 run scored on an error. Maldonado knocked in an earlier run with a fly ball and now a 2-run homer. So he has 3 of the 6 of Jays RBIs. You know, when Maldonado was added to Toronto, they designated Corey Snyder for reassignment. California 2, Minnesota nothing. That game now in the third inning on a Dave Parker 2-run homer. Twins clinging to a slim 1-game lead in the West over the Chicago White Sox, 3 on the Oakland A's. Milwaukee 3, Texas nothing. That game in the first. Of course, the Rangers will be here tomorrow night. Doubleheader. Oakland and Seattle a late start. In the National League, Cubs win. They beat the Mets 3-2 and 10 on a Jerome Walton single. Cardinals lead the Pirates 1-0 in the 6th. Phillies are going for their 13th win in a row. 1-0 Philadelphia over Montreal in the 4th inning. Dale Murphy drove in the run with a single. The rest of the games later. Atlanta, San Francisco at the Stick. Cincinnati against Los Angeles at Chavez Ravine. And Houston will play in San Diego. That's a complete look at the Washington Post scores. And let's return now to Mel Proctor and John Lowenstein.
Well, the Orioles had Jack McDowell in trouble in the 4th inning, but that controversial play took him off the hook. The update on McDowell: 58 pitches, 32 strikes, 26 balls.
Now he wiggled out of that predicament very nicely.
Instead of having the bases loaded and 1 out, with Milligan being called out at third, that was the 2nd out. Took a man out of scoring position, and then he got Juan Bell on a pop-up to end the inning. Mike Devereaux up for the 3rd time. He's hit the ball hard twice. He's lined to short and grounded to third. Foul ball, strike 1. Devereaux no longer leading American League leadoff hitter in home runs. Tony Phillips of the Tigers is one ahead of him now with 13. Of course, Ricky Henderson is not having his usual year. 1 ball, 1 strike. The official word on the ejection and the play at third base that, as we suspected, plate umpire Vic Voltaggio overruled the third base umpire Jim McKean, although it was McKean who called Randy Milligan out.
Well, he had to call him out because that's the way he saw it when Voltaggio overruled it. If McKean says the ball is foul, all play stops, and it goes back to where it was before that pitch was made.
The 2nd time Johnny Oates has been thrown out of his homestand. First 2 ejections of his career as a manager.
I can understand it.
Foul back, and it's 3-2 to Devereaux.
I'll tell you, these are the kinds of arguments you win. These are the kinds of games that go your way if indeed you're going to be right there in pennant contention time by the time this September rolls around and the end of the season is there for you. You think about these games you might have lost, but you ended up winning.
Well, you liken it to the Orioles' miracle season in '89. You think back to some of the things that happened with Devereaux at the plate. It's appropriate to discuss that home run he hit against the Angels.
Yep.
A fair foul situation. Jim Joyce, who was working the third base position at that time, and on this crew, as a matter of fact, made that call in the Orioles' favor. Game-winning home run. The next day, the very next day, there was a play. Mickey Tettleton hit a bouncer up the first baseline. Another ball, it might have been fair, it might have been foul. It was ruled a fair ball and drove in the winning run. That's the kind of breaks you get for some reason when you're playing well. Devereaux strokes it to right field. Newsom breaking back, now hustles in to make the catch. 1 out. Jack McDowell was allowed 2 runs on 4 hits, walked 2, struck out 3.
Well, he is a spindly sort on the mound. He's 6'5", but he weighs less than 180 pounds. There's nothing to him.
Joe Orsulak has singled and scored and struck out. Joe has hit McDowell well in his career. He's now 9 for 17 lifetime against him, but he pops this one up. Oz again has it. 2 outs. Two of the best shortstops in the game, Ozzie Guillen and Cal Ripken. Much different types. Cal, the better offensive player, more power. Guillen flashier. Probably has better range, although Cal makes up for it. But probably the best positioning among any shortstop in baseball. Great knowledge of the hitters and how to play certain situations. Guillen admits he's no Ripken offensively. Both made the All-Star team this year, with Cal being selected by the fans and Guillen a backup. One from Maryland, one from Venezuela. A lot of differences, but both great players. One ball, one strike to Cal.
In my mind, in managers and coaches' opinions, style and flash has been much more important over the last several years than proper positioning and not really showing that kind of sign. You mentioned Cal's positioning at shortstop. I harken back to the year that Harold Reynolds had one year for Seattle when he made 17, 18 errors, and Frank White had the best year of his career when he made 3 errors at Kansas City. He did not get the Golden Glove. But Harold Reynolds is much more flashy.
Popped up foul off first base. Kittle is over near the White Sox dugout, leans and can't come up with it.
Good work by the cameraman to prevent that out. It's accidental, of course.
Just missed it.
He tried to measure it.
One and two to Cal. 2 outs, nobody on. Bottom of the 5th. The White Sox leading 3-2 as they try to sweep the Orioles in this 4-game series. Two and two. McDowell likes to come inside.
Well, it's important. These big hitters get to the point where they start hanging out over the plate. It's hard to get them out.
Bob Gibson used to say, plate is 17 inches wide. The middle 15 belong to the hitter. As long as I can have the 2 on the outside and the 2 on the inside, I'm all right.
That's great. I hadn't heard that before.
That's they did it. 12 and a half inside, 2 and a half inside and outside. Got the dimensions wrong, but the philosophy right.
Except Bob Gibson used to take much more than that.
I don't see many young pitchers who will pitch inside for some reason. McDowell will. Ben McDonald will also. High fly ball down the right field line and foul.
I do remember one story when Bob Gibson was on the mound in St. Louis. Eddie Matthews, of course, was playing for the Milwaukee Braves at the time, playing third base, and I guess Bob was getting lit up a little bit. Matthews come to home plate and started digging that hole for the positioning of his left foot. Just kept digging. Took several moments to dig that hole real deep so you get that left foot in there, and Gibson walked down off the mound and he walked right over to Matthews and said, dig that hole a little deeper, I'll bury you in it on the next pitch. He was an intimidator. That's the kind of meanness you got to have on the mound.
Cal fights off a high fastball. Steve Carlton used to, before a game, sit down and envision lanes around the plate. The 2 inches on the outside part of the plate, the 2 inches on the inside. And visualize himself throwing the ball down those lanes and forgetting about the middle of the plate. Guillemot. Good fork ball by McDowell takes care of Cal Ripken, who struck out twice tonight. And at the end of 5, it's still 3-2 Chicago. Ben McDonald loosening up as he gets ready to work in the top of the 6th. He'll face the 3, 4, 5 hitters, Frank Thomas, Carlton Fisk, and Ron Kittle. Ben has thrown 72 pitches, 43 strikes. The White Sox will be on to Detroit and then New York to close out this road trip. The Orioles will be entertaining the Texas Rangers in the final leg of this homestand. They got some good hitters will be rolling in here. Rafael Palmeiro and Julio Franco and Ruben Sierra.
They probably got the best offensive team in baseball. Well, Bo's out here every day taking batting practice. Doesn't look like the same Bo just yet.
No. Looks like he's swinging with all arms right now. He doesn't seem to be able to get that hip rotation to swing what you need, and isn't showing much power, but hopefully he'll make it back. Very accommodating before the game, signing autographs. Kids look like bees going to honey. They came from all over the park when they saw that he was signing.
They sure did.
Frank Thomas has flied to center and walked. He has scored a run. Line foul. 0-2. He's been on a tear lately, hitting .437 in his last 17 games.
Well, success breeds confidence in this game, and he developed that very early on in his major league career. He's just a young lad in this sport right now.
1-2. He turned 23 in May. From Columbus, Georgia, attended Auburn University, and was a first-round pick 2 years ago. 2-2. Thomas being used as a designated hitter. He is a first baseman, but he's got a shoulder problem which hampers his throwing. So he's just DHing. That's unusual for a young player. Most DHs are older players, veterans.
Well, it's not far removed from 4 pinch hitting assignments in any one game.
3-2 the count. Another argument in favor of the DH. If he was in the National League, he wouldn't even be playing.
There you go.
And he'd be deprived of watching this great young player perform. Ben had him 0-2 and now has gone to a full count with Thomas. Fastball is grounded. Leo Gomez back to pick it off as he makes another fine play. All that extra work before the game's taking ground balls has paid off for Leo.
You know what's impressed me, Mel, is that the accuracy of his arm. The fact that he throws the ball so often right on the money at first base, regardless of where he fields the ball.
The attendance tonight is 25,975. Yesterday, over 40,000 turned out to watch Wilson Alvarez pitch a no-hitter. Ball 1 to Carlton Fisk, who has grounded at third, doubled and scored. Fisk played with the Red Sox from 1969 through 1980 and joined Chicago in 1981. Bounced foul off third base, and as fate would have it that year, the White Sox opened the '81 season in Fenway Park against Boston, and Fisk hit a 3-run homer to give the White Sox a 5-3 win. Then in his home debut that year for Chicago, he had a grand slam to lead the White Sox past Milwaukee.
He has had a career colored with so many bright moments.
He also had a brother, Calvin, who once caught in the Orioles organization.
Calvin Fisk.
Thought he was the guy that invented the cotton gin. No, that was Eli Whitney.
Eli didn't know a fastball from a curveball.
Yeah, Eli Whitney or Whitney Houston.
See, Whitney can't sing anymore. She's taken several months off.
That's right. Throat is bothering her. Going on the DL.
60-day DL.
1 ball, 1 strike to Fisk. 1 out. Top of the 6th. It's 3-2 Chicago. He pops it up back of the plate. Royals trying to get the umpire out of the way and makes the catch.
You know, Mel, you mentioning Alvarez's no-hitter again yesterday when Fisk was up there. Clubs used to give $5,000 for a no-hitter many years ago. I figure yesterday's performance with inflation working this little tummy off over the years ought to be worth about 25 grand.
You should be his agent.
Just take into consideration the next time he pitches, the first time he pitches in Comiskey, that ballpark's going to be bulging at the seams.
Ron Kittle is up with 2 outs. Ball 1 to Kittle, who drove in the tying run in the 4th inning with a sacrifice fly. Had some big years early in his career with the White Sox, John. In '83, at 35 homers and drove in 100 runs. The next year, 32 home runs and 74 RBIs.
He's always been able to hit home runs.
1 ball, 1 strike.
The home run and the strikeout, the all-or-nothing swing. But he can dial long distance when you need it most.
Foul ball. Kittle was originally in the Dodgers organization, hurt his back, had to undergo surgery and had a spinal fusion, and had gone back home to Gary, Indiana to work, and was out of baseball. And the White Sox brought him to Comiskey Park, and a left-hander named Billy Pierce, who used to pitch for the White Sox years ago, great pitcher, pitched to him at Comiskey Park. They gave him a tryout. He hit a few home runs out of the park, and the White Sox decided to sign him. Went on to become the minor league player of the year in '82, and then up with the White Sox the next year. He strikes out on a high fastball from Ben McDonald. The end of 5.5. It's still 3-2 Chicago. Tom?
Well, more highlights for you, Mel, and that the Toronto-Boston game is becoming more interesting as the game passes on. Of course, the Toronto Blue Jays trying to break a 4-game losing streak. Their lead is down to 4 in the American League East over the Detroit Tigers and 9 on the Boston Red Sox. Of course, the Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays playing 4 just like the Orioles and the White Sox through this Monday. We're going to pick it up top of the 3rd inning with pitcher Juan Guzman on the mound. Ellis Burks at bat with Mike Greenwell on at 3rd, and the score tied at 4. Burks comes through with an RBI single to center to give Boston a 5-4 lead. So with the Red Sox leading 5-4, Roger Clemens on the mound now. Candy Maldonado, recently acquired by Toronto, will come through with a home run to left field. This makes the score 6-5. It's a 2-run shot. It scores John Olerud from 3rd. So Toronto now with a 6-5 lead in the 4th inning of their game against the Boston Red Sox. And if Toronto winds up with a victory and the Detroit Tigers, who are not playing tonight, that would mean that Toronto's lead would be 4.5 games in the American League's Eastern Division because the Tigers being idle. Now, if the Toronto Blue Jays wind up losing, of course, it's 3.5 games. That's a complete look at the Washington Post scores, or actually the Miller highlights, excuse me. Let's go back upstairs now to Mel Proctor and John Lowenstein.
All right, Tom, Candy Maldonado with that home run for Toronto. He could be an excellent pickup for a couple of reasons. They might re-sign him. He is a free agent at the end of the year, and if they don't, he could conceivably be a Type A free agent, and if they lost him, Toronto would get a #1 pick.
That's right. This kid, of course, still crying about that call at third base.
The Orioles are hoping that didn't cost them the game. They would have had the bases loaded and 1 out. For the Orioles in the 6th, Sam Horn, Randy Milligan, and Chito Martinez to face Jack McDowell. Well, the White Sox leading 3-2. Sam reached on a fielder's choice in the 1st, drove in a run, and also scored a run, and then struck out in the 3rd inning. Strike 1.
Boy, McDowell has settled down so nicely. It's an entirely different pitcher. It looks like 2 different people.
He gave up both runs in the 1st inning. Since then, he has allowed just 1 hit. A single by Chito Martinez in the 4th inning. A bouncer to Kittle in foul territory. 0-2. Fans getting on the first base umpire, Ed Hickox, as they recall what happened in the Oriole 4th on that controversial play at 3rd. Do you think instant replay has any place in baseball? I mean, you could have looked at the replay and maybe made the correct decision on that play.
No, I wouldn't want to see it in baseball. These arguments are too much fun to watch.
I agree. 1-2, and of course, if you had replay, it'd make the games even longer.
Yeah, we see that in football, although it has its spot in football.
Grounded to Kittle. And he makes the unassisted play for the 1st out of the 6th. Run's bouncing around pretty well there tonight. It's a good place. An outfielder most of his career. Randy Milligan has walked twice. And he was right in the middle of that mess at 3rd base in the 4th inning. Being tagged out by Robin Ventura. So instead of having the bases loaded and 1 out, that was the 2nd out of the inning, and Bell popped out to end the inning, and the Orioles did not score. He hammers it to deep left center field. Way back and gone. Somehow it seems appropriate that Randy Milligan should hit the home run to tie the score.
I think McDowell probably thought he was the right man to pitch around tonight. And he thought, well, maybe just try it here. Maybe I can get him out here. But that wasn't to be. He went right down and got that fastball and delivered it.
Well, the Orioles tie the score at 3, and it's ball 1 to Chito Martinez for Milligan. A game-tying home run off Jack McDowell. It's Randy's 13th homer of the year. And McDowell's behind 2-0 on Martinez, who singled twice tonight. Jack McDowell has now allowed 13 home runs in 182 innings.
Well, that's an outstanding ratio.
Martinez skies it high in the air to left center, where Lance Johnson is waiting. 2 outs. The Orioles scored 2 in the 1st inning off McDowell to take the lead. Then Warren Newson hit a home run in the 2nd to make it 2-1. The White Sox scored 2 in the 4th to take the lead 3-2, and now Milligan's home run has tied it. Leo Gomez has fouled to the first baseman and laid down a sacrifice bunt. Ball one.
Boy, 13 home runs and 183 innings of work. That's much less than a home run a game.
It's very good.
Oh, yes.
Big swing by Leo, and it's 1-1. We had some activity in the White Sox bullpen. Alito Perez, who appeared early in the series, beginning to warm up. One ball, 2 strikes to Gomez. Jeff Proborg won't hesitate to go to his bullpen. They have a string of 31 consecutive scoreless innings going. Outside, 2-2 to Gomez. 3-3 tie in the bottom of the 6th. Strike 3. Gomez is called out on strikes, but the Orioles tie it up on Randy Milligan's home run. At the end of 6, it's a 3-3 game, and this is the Home Team Sports Cable Network. Home Team Sports coverage of Orioles baseball is brought to you in part by your nearby Sears installed home improvement professionals, the most trusted name in the house. By Safeway, come see the difference at Safeway. And by AT&T Long Distance, all you need to reach out. The Orioles and the White Sox are tied 3-3 through 6 innings, the final game of this 4-game series. The Orioles are trying to snap a 5-game losing streak. They have not won since Tuesday when they beat Milwaukee 13-5. Then McDonald will face Warren Newson, Lance Johnson, and Scott Fletcher in the 7th inning.
Looks like Big Ben has settled in through 6. He's only allowed 3 hits to this point in the game.
One of those hits, a home run to this man, Warren Newson, who takes a pitch inside. Newson homered in the 2nd inning. He's also struck out. The other hits were a double by Fisk in the 4th and an RBI single by Lance Johnson in that inning. A drive to left field. Orsolak back onto the track to make the catch.
He didn't hit that one with the same punch he hit that home run with. That ball just died out there that time. That was a much harder fastball, it looked like, off the end of the bat.
Johnson.
And maybe this is the situation where Lance Johnson will try to bunt.
If he does, he better bunt toward 1st or 2nd.
Likes to drag bunt on the right side.
That's set up for him. Guys are playing back.
He drove in a run with a single in the 4th inning. Ball 1 to Lance. He lays off a high fastball, and it's 2-0.
Whatever happens, though, make sure he has to strike the baseball to get on.
Ben would be very tough to bunt off of as hard as he throws. Called strike, and it's 2-1.
Just make sure he earns his position on the base if he does get on. A free pass would be counterproductive.
And at 3-1, you don't want to walk him. He can run. He has 18 steals. Pitcher and the catcher sit down before the game and go over the lineup and just refresh their minds as to who could steal if they get on base. Ball 4, and he gets on. Scott Fletcher coming up. Over the years, they've also liked to play hit and run with Fletcher, who handles the bat so well. Mike Flanagan, Mark Williamson throwing in the bullpen for the Orioles.
Well, this situation here begs for a little action, as it did last time when Johnson ran and Fletcher swung, but he hit the ball to Gomez at third.
Maybe pitch out, see if anything's on.
Anything to try to outguess him.
Foul back. Fletcher has grounded to third twice tonight. He takes a long look at third base coach Terry Bevington. 3-3 tie, top of the 7th. The Orioles lost the final 2 games to Milwaukee and have dropped all 3 to Chicago so far. They're 1-6 on this homestand. Fletcher hits a fly ball to right, and Chito Martinez makes the catch. A little surprised they didn't have something on.
Well, had they gone a little deeper into the count, I'm sure you'd have seen something. But if you want to do something, you got to do it within the first couple of pitches.
Ozzie Guillen has flied to right and grounded to first. Guillen's home run, the second game of the series, certainly one of the most dramatic of the year, with Johnny Oates bringing in the left-hander Flanagan to face him. In the first pitch, Flanagan tried to sidearm him with a breaking ball. Guillen hung in there and drilled it over the right field fence. His first home run of the year to give the White Sox a 5-4 lead. They won the game 6-4. Oh, throw to second base by Hoyles, and Johnson is out. What a strange play. Ben McDonald fell down and might be hurt, bounced the ball to the plate. When Johnson, who was running on the plate, saw the ball hit, for some reason he stopped, and they were able to get him at second.
Maybe we ought to wait for an umpire ruling here before we go into the dugout. He did throw that ball toward the plate, though. That prevented the balk call. It was good presence of mind on the part of Ben McDonald.
But why did Johnson stop? He stopped about halfway between first and second.
He was totally mesmerized by what happened. I've never seen it before.
Now Lance is running. Now he stops.
Yeah, well, he must have saw Ben falling, and then he took off again. He looked like he had a little fake move towards second, and then when he saw what was developing, he decided to go on in.
So he's thrown out to end the inning. It's still a 3-3 game. Let's go back to Tom.
All right, Mel, before we do the scores, a couple of quick get-wells to Morris Weinstein of the greater Randallstown area, who is Lenny's father. Also to Patrick Holden from Mom and Dad. Hi to Sally in Hagerstown from Sister Sue in Durham, North Carolina. And hello to Pat Mitchell down in Richmond from her husband, Kent. Now to the Washington Post scoreboard. The Toronto Blue Jays lead the Boston Red Sox 7-5 in the 5th. Candy Maldonado with a 2-run homer. John Oliver with a run-scoring fly ball. Maldonado has knocked in 3 so far for the game. Mike Greenwell also 3 RBIs with a double and a triple. California, Minnesota, 2-tie in the 6th inning. Greg Gagne hit a 2-run homer for the Twins. Dave Parker a 2-run single for the Angels. Milwaukee pouring it on Texas 9-0 in the 3rd. B.J. Surhoff doubled in 1. Darrell Hamilton had a 2-run single. And it's just been an onslaught by the Brewers. The Rangers will be in town tomorrow night. Doubleheader planned at 5. Our coverage starts at 7. You'll be able to see a part of that first game and, of course, the entire second game right here on Home Team Sports. Oakland and Seattle a late start. Now in the National League, Jerome Walton with an RBI single in the 10th inning gave the Cubs a 3-2 win over the New York Mets. Les Lancaster with the win, Tim Burke with the loss. The Pirates and Cardinals are tied at 2 in the 8th inning. 2-run homer Barry Bonds is 19th. Ozzie Smith and Gerald Perry with RBI singles for the Cardinals. Montreal and Philadelphia, 1 tie in the 7th inning. Larry Walker drove in a run with a single for the Expos. Dale Murphy has an RBI single for the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies have won 12 straight games. The other 3 National League games are later. Atlanta, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Los Angeles, and Houston at San Diego. We're ready for the bottom half of the 7th inning, and let's go back upstairs to Mel Proctor and John Lowenstein.
All right, for those of you who like to score, the official ruling on that play involving Lance Johnson was a fielder's choice. He was thrown out 2-6. No caught stealing. He was not attempting to steal.
Well, I'd like to know what he was trying to do.
Well, I mean, he wasn't running on the pitch. He took that one step and stopped, and then the action occurred after that. Chris Hoyles leading off the 7th inning. A check swing pop-up foul. There have been some strange plays tonight, huh?
Certainly have.
The play at third in the 4th inning with Milligan being called out. Hoyles was the hitter at the time as he had a ground ball up the third baseline. It looked like a foul ball, but the plate umpire overruled the third base umpire. Called it a fair ball. Milligan was out. And then the Lance Johnson play with McDonald falling down on the pitch.
Well, Chris had the presence of mind, though, not to dissolve into what was happening. He caught that Ben McDonald pitch on a bounce and still threw Johnson out at second.
1 ball and 1 strike to Hoyles. Glenn Davis went 1 for 3 with a sacrifice fly tonight for Hagerstown as the Suns beat Canton Akron 4-3. He drove in the tying run with a sacrifice fly. 1-2 to Hoyles, and Billy Ripken went 1 for 4, scored 2 runs and drove in 1 for Frederick tonight. There he had 12-5 in the 9th inning. Expect we'll see Glenn Davis before long.
Sure sounds like it.
Line drive by Guillen for a base hit.
I'll tell you what, Chris Hoyles is becoming a very tough out at the plate. He hangs in there real well, and he's showing that he can hit a lot of different kinds of pitches.
You would expect Juan Bell to be up there punting in this situation.
Well, he stroked that fork ball real hard.
The Orioles have out hit the White Sox tonight 6-3.
Last 3 innings usually means you're going to bunt. It's got to be a good bunt.
Ventura's playing it at third. Kittle holding the runner at first.
Chris is not a fast runner at first.
Hoyles is running. They're playing hit and run. It's grounded to Ventura, who bobbles it and still throws Bell out.
What a play. He tried to get that ball and throw it before he had it. He thought he could still get Hoyles at second. That's when that thing popped up out of his hand. See him looking at second? Still got time to retrieve it.
If he faked that bunt, drawn Ventura in, he might have been able to hit it by him.
Son of a gun. I mean, if that ball would have dropped to the grass, they never would have had him. Good night for Chicago in the field.
So Hoyles has moved to second base, and with 1 out, Mike Devereaux is up. Perez is throwing again in the White Sox bullpen. And there's also a left-hander out. Strike 1 to Mike Devereaux.
But it shows you how much the Orioles are still very much involved in what's going on here. I mean, obviously it would have taken a perfect bunt by Bell to get the slow-footed Hoyles to second. So Johnny Oates says, even though he's out of the game, he's probably still managing. He says, hey, let's try a hit and run here. Perez and Radinsky in the bullpen for the White Sox.
1-1. Devereaux's hit the ball hard twice tonight. He hit a line shot to the shortstop in the first and grounded solidly to the third baseman in the second inning, with Ventura making a fine play to take a base hit away. Hoyles taking a big lead at second. Devereaux pops it up foul. 1-2 to Mike. 3-3 tie in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Get that down contract.
Devereaux is called out on strikes with a runner in scoring position.
That's what you get when you make the perfect pitch. You usually get a called strike, even if it's off the plate by an inch or two. There's a little outside part that you were talking about. Talk about the 13 inches and 2 inches on either side. That was on the other side of the black. Great pitch.
Jeff Torborg's coming out to the mound with the left hand hitting Orsulak up, and as we said, Joe has hit McDowell pretty well in past games.
But do you pitch him carefully and put him on and pitch to the next guy?
No. Not with Cal Ripken up. Wouldn't think.
You know that's what the discussion's about.
What do you want to do with Orsulak?
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, Joe is 1 for 3 against McDowell. Lifetime, he is now 9 for 18, hitting .500 against him with 2 home runs. I think you got to pitch to him, even with those stats.
Well, you can pitch him carefully or throw him something that hasn't produced those good numbers. Maybe a lot of breaking balls and fork balls as opposed to fastball, or try to make the perfect pitch.
Chris Hoyles at second base. He represents the go-ahead run. 2 outs, and Orsulak is up. Strike 1.
See, that was my theory. Don't give the pitcher too much credit. You get up there looking for change-ups and breaking balls. He fired that first one, a fastball, right down the pipe.
I think you got to go after him. I don't think you pitch around him or walk him intentionally to give Cal Ripken a chance to hit and beat you. Even though Orsulak has those great stats against him, he's not the same threat as Ripken is to hit the ball out of the park.
Right.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Ripken's in the top 10. He's having a great year. Driven in 28% of the Orioles' runs on the season. You're definitely going to pitch to this hitter.
Ground ball to the second baseman, Fletcher. And that does it for the Orioles. So McDowell pitches to Orsulak and gets him out. And the Orioles leave a runner at second. At the end of 7, it's a 3-3 game. The Cannon game summary: Ben McDonald has allowed only 3 hits. One of them was a home run to Warren Newson. And for the Orioles against Jack McDowell, Randy Milligan with a game-tying home run. He scattered 6 hits. Ben McDonald coming out for the 8th inning. It looked like he might have injured himself, slipping.
Well, it is very much a pitching duel right now. Extending the stamina of both of these pitchers, although Jack McDowell has 10, count them, 10 complete games on the year.
Ozzie Guillen will be back up there. He was the hitter in the bottom of the 7th inning when McDonald slipped, making a pitch to the plate. Lance Johnson tried to go to second and was thrown out by Chris Hoyles. That was the 3rd out.
I was kind of hoping he'd swing at the ball and hit it on a bounce. That would probably have precipitated a very, very long argument had that ball sailed into the outfield.
Guillen slashes it foul. He's up there hacking,
isn't he?
Ozzie walked in the 6th inning last night, only the 7th time all year he's drawn a walk.
He's not doing a lot of sightseeing up there at the plate.
Breaking ball is lined down the line. A fair ball. Guillen runs well. Chito Martinez up with it, and Ozzie's in with a leadoff double.
Oh, that was a good hook, too.
That's only the 4th White Sox hit.
Look where this thing is. Went right down and got it. Little elevation on it. Clipped it right down into the corner. If it had been up, you know, he might have hit it in the seat, so it's a good thing it was down there. You've seen him hit one up there, as you mentioned.
And Tim Raines up there with the runner at second base. Nobody out. Gomez playing in at third.
God, you hate to give up an out in the last 2 innings, but, you know, maybe you can drag a bunt with him or definitely make an effort to try to hit it to the right side.
Ball 1.
It doesn't look as though the White Sox are predisposed to giving up that valuable out. I guess you can figure it this way. The man is already in scoring position.
Raines pulls it on the right side, and that'll advance the runner. Wandell throws him out, and Ozzie Guillen goes to third. The 2 hottest hitters on the team coming up now, and Robin Ventura and then Frank Thomas, as the White Sox try to get the go-ahead run across. Tonight, Ventura has flied to left twice and struck out. The American League's Player of the Month for July. Guess who was the Player of the Month, Player of the Week this week? Wilson Alvarez, with his no-hitter. That was announced today.
Good for him.
Orioles bring the infield in. Ozzie Guillen at third base. 1 out. Ventura hits it through the drawn-in infield, and the White Sox take the lead. Cal Ripken playing in. He couldn't come up with it, and Ozzie Guillen scores on Ventura's single.
Well, he delivers, as he's proven this year, when it means the most. Rip did come close to fielding that ball. Even if he'd have fielded it, Guillen would have scored.
Four to 3 White Sox, and now Frank Thomas comes up. 0 for 2 with a walk. He scored a run. 1 out, and Robin Ventura at first. Strike 1. One ball, 1 strike to the big man. 4 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the White Sox. 3 runs, 6 hits, and no errors for the Orioles.
Well, he's waiting for Big Ben to come to him. He's not too anxious about stretching out there across the plate trying to hit that last pitch.
Inside, 2-1.
His approach is very much shark-like. He kind of circles around the box, waits for the opportune moment, then slashes out. He should have had 2 home runs yesterday, or whenever that game was.
Yesterday.
Devereaux brought that home run ball back into the park.
Ground ball to Wandell, to Cal Ripken for 1, over to first, double play. But the White Sox score a run on Robin Ventura's single to take the lead 4-3 as we go to the bottom of the 8th. The White White Sox bullpen has been outstanding. They have yet to allow a run in this 4-game series, and they have a string of 31 consecutive scoreless innings. Tune into the Sears Home Improvement League leaders doing every Orioles report, and Tom Davis will keep you up to date on who leads the way in all of the league's most watched categories. It's 4-3 White Sox, and Mike Huff, who came in yesterday in the late innings to protect Wilson Alvarez, no-hitter, again comes in for defensive purposes, replacing Warren Newson, and Melito Perez will take over for Jack McDowell, who went 7 innings. He allowed 3 runs on 6 hits, walked 2, and struck out 6.
Well, manager Jeff Torborg does not hesitate in the least going to that very efficient bullpen that Mel alluded to there, but anytime you can go out there and you bring in someone that hasn't allowed a run in 31 innings tops, then you do it. But it looked like Jack McDowell was settling in nicely out there on the mound. He only had that one rough spot in the first inning and that Milligan home run, but you do what you have to do to try to win one. Very rough night last night, evidently. That suspense of that no-hitter yesterday, which is too much to take.
Well, a key so far has been Jack McDowell's ability to get Joe Orsulak with a runner in scoring position in the 7th. That prevented him from facing Cal Ripken with 2 men on base had Orsulak gotten on.
Right.
And now Cal leads off with the bases empty. Melito Perez got him on a ground out in the first game of this series. Strike 1. Perez, a starter for most of his career, now moving into the bullpen and middle relief. He's got good stuff. He throws hard, good curveball, and an outstanding split-fingered fastball. A little inconsistent at times, but a real good arm. 0-2.
That was that forkball right there. Excellent statistics. You don't hesitate going to the bullpen when you're bringing someone in where the opposition is hitting about 2 1/4.
White Sox relievers have not allowed a run over the last 31 innings, striking out 30 batters over that stretch. And in the last 51 games, opposing hitters are hitting .202 against the Sox bullpen.
But the closest to a sure thing, as you'll see coming out of the bullpen.
Cal didn't have a good hack at that pitch.
No, that was a very deceptive forkball, and tried to serve it on over the first baseman's head.
For what it's worth, in the 7th inning, there was a scorer's decision change. A play where Lance Johnson tried to advance to second when Ben McDonald fell down. It's now been changed to a caught stealing.
Of course.
Okay.
Had to be.
Should make you the full-time official scorer.
I have you raving at me, though. I don't know if that's a good idea.
1-2.
You know, as effective as these White Sox relievers have been in this situation, you don't even have to have Bobby Thigpen working up in the bullpen for you if you don't want. That's how good they've been.
Cal bounces it foul off third base. In the first game, Charlie Huff couldn't get out of the 4th inning. Brian Draymond came in. He pitched 2 1/3 innings of shutout relief and picked up the win. Perez worked 2 scoreless innings, and then Thigpen worked the 9th to save it. And in the second game of the series, Don Paul worked 2 scoreless innings in middle relief. Thigpen again on the 9th to record his 2nd save of the series. And now Perez in relief for Jack McDowell. 4-3 Chicago. Ripped foul. Ventura guarding the line at third. McDowell got jammed and hits a roller to Guillen. And Ozzie throws him out. Perez ran a pitch in on his hands. And he wasn't able to hit it very hard.
No, it looked like several miles an hour quicker, obviously, than that forkball.
And Jeff Torborg coming out to the mound. He's got a left-hander up in the bullpen, Radinsky.
Well, they do a pretty good job of sharing the duty on this setup role anytime before the 9th inning. Could be Radinsky, Perez, Patterson, Don Paul. Every one of them has pitched it quite effectively. Maybe he's giving him some personal instructions here how to handle this hitter, but he's got to go to the bully.
He's going to bring in Radinsky. So Radinsky coming in, and Sam Horn will probably be lifted for a pinch hitter. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by AT&T Long Distance. All you need to reach out. The hard-throwing left-hander Scott Radinsky is brought in to face Sam Horn, and the Orioles will lift Horn in favor of Dwight Evans, who's really been doing a great job as a pinch hitter lately. In his last 7 pinch-hitting appearances, he's 3 for 5 with 2 walks, 5 runs batted in, and he's hit a grand slam home run as a pinch hitter.
Good move, though, by Torborg in that he tries to prohibit any idea, any thought of the home run, and also in making that change prompts a player move on the part of the Orioles. So.
Ooh. You can see how hard he throws.
It was a hummer.
Last year he made the jump from A ball to the big leagues, got off to a great start, then had problems. But this year he's been very effective in 49 2/3 innings, allowing just 40 hits. 1 ball, 1 strike to Evans. You saw Brian Draymond and Bobby Thigpen up in the White Sox bullpen. After Evans, another right-handed batter in Milligan. 2-1.
You can see Dwight trying to focus his attentions down in the strike zone because of the velocity of that kid out there. Anything above the belt might be missed.
Ball 3. Try to take a little off that pitch. Last year, the only pitch he could count on was his fastball. He had trouble getting his other pitches over for strikes. And Evans still a very good fastball hitter. Ball strike, and it's 3-2. Evans thought it might have been low.
Looked like a perfect pitch. Could have been low. Perfect pitch for the pitcher.
Evans lines a base hit to left field. Oh, he has been incredible as a pinch hitter. 4 for his last 6. Brady Anderson will run for him.
2 former Red Sox destroyers out here on the field today. Fisk and Dwight Evans. Dewey just wanted to make that at-bat interesting.
Tying run is aboard with 1 out. And will Jeff Torborg bring in Draymond or Thigpen to face Milligan? Doesn't look like it.
Well, they took Perez out when he had that good forkball working. Just the thought of Sam Horn coming up there and maybe popping one, and a situation where a home run could put the other team ahead, not making a move.
Now, why would you let the left-hander face Milligan?
Because he
probably wants him in there because he's worried about Brady Anderson stealing, and the left-hander can do a better job of holding him.
I'm sure that's it. He also feels compelled that he should give the Orioles a chance.
As a right-handed pitcher, Brady would be able to get a better jump.
Absolutely.
Ball 1 to Milligan.
That has to be a part of the thinking.
Now Torborg's coming out. But maybe he just left him in there for the first pitch to see if Brady was going to try to run, and now he might make the change.
Maybe he's coming out with instructions.
Any of the above possibilities.
What to do? He'll ask Carlton Fisk's opinion. Radinsky, everybody's getting in on it. Brief instructions. Throw strikes, do not allow a run, and don't let the man steal.
If he doesn't throw him a strike here, he might take him out. If he falls behind the count 2-0, then he might bring in the right hand. Is that 5 possibilities you've listed? Called strike 1-1. That's what makes this the great game it is.
It's a mind game.
Milligan walked twice and homered to tie the game in the 6th inning. Johnny Oates says he likes Brady Anderson's attitude on the bases. He's a gambler. When he gets in there, he wants to make things happen. He wants to go. And you contrast that with Mike Devereaux, who has great speed but seems reluctant to run. Low ball 2, and it's 2-1. Brady has 6 stolen bases. He's been caught 4 times, so his percentage is not good.
Oh, he's out there right now just to have more speed on the bases. It's hard to steal against a left-handed pitcher unless you know him like a friend.
Fouled off, and it's 2-2. After Milligan comes a left-handed hitter, Cheeto Martinez. 4-3 White Sox.
David Segui waiting in the hole.
And the count is full.
The kid throws hard, but for the most part, he's just hoping he makes a good pitch. Well, now if you're a gambler,
No, I wouldn't send it.
then you can decide whether or not you want to run him.
You get a strike him out, throw him out situation, the inning is over. Then you got to worry about Thigpen coming in the 9th and trying to mount a threat against him. I don't think he'd run it.
Radinsky thinks he's going.
What do you think?
I think a good play just to run him. Milligan should have a lot of confidence up there at the plate.
Brady is running, and it's Poundstars again. He throws out Milligan. And Brady Anderson advances to second.
And of course, you're running primarily to stay out of the double play.
Cheeto Martinez is being called back, and David Segui will pinch hit.
Yeah, you turn some of these hitters around, and then if you run into a situation later on where you got to have that right-handed pitcher in here like Thigpen, it's got some right-handed hitters to face, even though Segui's a switch hitter.
Well, you could bring in the right-hander now and turn David around and make him bat left-handed. He's been a better hitter, much better hitter from the right side. So if you're Jeff Torborg, you'd rather have him up there left-handed where he's hitting 209.
He must have heard you. Must have heard you. Second trip out, obviously has to make a change. Thiggy is waiting.
He's got 2 right-handers, Thigpen and Draymond. Let's see which one he wants. Looks like Thigpen. We'll step away with the White Sox ahead 4-3 in the 8th inning. Bobby Thigpen, who saved the first 2 games in this series, takes over, forcing David Segui to bat left-handed. Thigpen 4th in the league with 26 saves. Comes in with the White Sox ahead 4-3, 2 outs in the 8th inning, and the Orioles have the tying run at second.
Torborg has hastened all the right moves in this series so far, and playing it by the book, as we intimated, was the way to go right here.
Brady Anderson at second base, 2 outs. Segui batting just 209, left-handed. Strike 1. Thigpen has converted 81% of his save opportunities this year, 26 of 32. Power pitcher, fastball in the 90s, and a great slider. Strike 2.
Well, the first fastball was up in the strike zone. Thiggy got the call. That one tailed masterfully toward the outside part of the plate. Although for the most part, I think he just rears back and fires that thing in the direction of Fisk's glove.
Whoa, look out. 1-2.
I don't think Thigpen's radar is quite that good. His laser-like pitching. He has walked 32 guys in 55 innings. That's very high.
We've seen him a few times when he just can't throw strikes. Occasionally he'll run into those wild spells, but usually pretty reliable. Struck him out.
Pump City.
Oh, the bullpen comes through again. Perez, Radinsky, and Thigpen as the Orioles leave the tying run at second at the end of 8. It's still 4-3 White Sox. Joe Orsulak moves to right field. And David Segui, who pinch hit, stays in the game in left field. They go to the top of the 9th inning. Carlton Fisk, Ron Kittle, and Mike Huff scheduled to bat for the White Sox against Ben McDonald, who's pitched a terrific game. He's only allowed 5 hits, but he trails by a run. Robin Ventura's single in the 8th inning drove in the go-ahead run. Ben has allowed 4 runs on 5 hits, walked 3, struck out 4. Fisk to get it started. He doubled in the 4th inning.
Big Ben's chore is to wade through as best he can in the middle of this lineup and get his team back into the dugout with a 1-run deficit. That's the short-term goal right now.
Strike 1 to Carlton Fisk, who's had some key hits in this series. In the first game, pinch hitting for Dan Pasqua in the 9th inning. He delivered a pinch hit single off Mike Flanagan to drive in 2 runs to give the White Sox a lead. They won that game 7-4. And then in game 2, he had a 3-run first inning home run off Roy Smith to get the White Sox started. No swing, says Ed Hickox on the appeal. And it's 1-1.
Ed says no. Wild Bill would have called it. No call.
Check swing foul ball, and it's 1-2 to Fisk. Mark Williamson and Mike Flanagan are up again in the bullpen. All 3 hitters in this inning are right-handed. Two and 2 to Carlton Fisk. Struck him out.
Fine bunch of stuff Ben flipped up there that time. We saw every pitch in his repertoire. Fastball, breaking ball, change up.
He gets him with a curveball for his 5th strikeout.
Carlton approaches each at bat as though it was last.
And now Ron Kittle is up. He drove in the tying run with a sacrifice fly in the 4th inning. Ball 1 to Kittle. Breaking ball low, and he's behind 2-0 to Kittle.
Yeah, this is the part of the game where Kittle is such a dangerous hitter. You're looking at a 1-run deficit if you're the Orioles, and Ben McDonald on the mound. You got a guy in there. Hasn't done anything yet tonight except make some fine plays at first base. But who can hit the ball 450 feet?
He takes a fastball for a strike. And it's 2-1 to Kittle.
He's trying his best to try to measure Ben out there on the mound.
That's high, and it's a foul tip off his bat, says Vic Voltaggio. So the Orioles getting a break. Instead of it being 3-1, it's 2-2.
Well, so that surprises me. But he drugged that bat right there, and it's certainly within the vicinity of the ball. Vic says, I got that one. Hey, hello.
Yes, the appeal, Ed Hickox rings him up. So maybe things are beginning to turn the Orioles' way. That's 6 strikeouts for Ben McDonald.
I don't know, looked like Ed's 1 for 2. You can't tell on these big guys whether they pull up on that swing or not. You can see it here, though. And he did go a long way. It's all intent. Did he intend to hit the ball?
Mike Huff coming up for the first time. He entered the game in the 7th inning for defensive purposes. Ball 1 to Mike, who was picked up on waivers from the Cleveland Indians. He's got to be thrilled, back in his hometown. Went to school at Northwestern, which is in Evanston, Illinois. 1-1.
Well, he was sinking in Cleveland, going down for the 3rd count. Someone throws him an oxygen mask, and here he shows up in Chicago on a team contending for the top spot in the American League West. You bet it's a big break.
2-1 to Huff. Product of the Dodger system. He and Mike Devereaux were roommates in the low minors for the Dodgers a few years ago. Popped up off first base. Milligan over, and it's back in the seats. 2-2 to Mike Huff. We're in the 9th inning with 2 outs, and the White Sox leading 4-3. In the bottom of the 9th, the Orioles have the bottom of the order coming up. Leo Gomez, Chris Hoyles, and Juan Bell to face Bobby Thigpen. The White Sox trying to sweep a 4-game series here for the first time since 1956. Bounce to Gomez, who's fielded everything, hit his way, and he makes the play. Oh, we go to the bottom of the 9th with the Orioles down by a run. The White Sox try to sweep it, and the Orioles try to salvage a win. Mel Proctor with John Lowenstein and Tom Davis back at Memorial Stadium with the White Sox leading 4-3 as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. When the White Sox have been ahead after 8 innings, they have gone 46-1.
Oh, you would mention that.
Couple of changes. Craig Graybeck takes over at third base. Robin Ventura moves from third to first, with Kittle coming out of the game as they try to improve the defense and protect this 1-run lead.
46-1. It certainly sounds insurmountable.
Leo Gomez leading off the 9th inning against Bobby Thigpen. Thigpen trying to save his 3rd game in this 4-game series.
Well, they got to hope that he's going to be a little off center in this inning.
He almost hit him. You okay?
Oh, I thought it had him.
I thought it had you.
I thought he was going to take one for the ball club, folks.
Keep your hand off my leg.
Oh, look out. The permanent American League imprint right on the chest.
One ball, one strike to Gomez.
Just a natural reflex action. That's all it was.
Strike 2. Gomez arguing with Vic Voltaggio.
Oh, what he yelled right there. I saw his lips. He said, Vic, Sabatino's closes at 4 in the morning. He got plenty of time.
He thought it was low.
A little low. He called one of those on Dwight Evans last inning.
Cal Ripken Sr. is giving Voltaggio an earful. Johnny Oates was thrown out earlier in the game following a brouhaha in the 4th inning.
Well, you don't want that strike zone to start floating around in the 9th.
Outside, 2-2. Gomez grounds it foul. The Orioles have not beaten the White Sox in 5 games here at Memorial Stadium this year.
But the probability of losing 4 in a row to a visiting team at home in any one series is very high.
Gomez pops it up, shallow center field. Lance Johnson takes charge and makes the catch. Boy, he's been a big factor in this series.
What's new? That ball was like Custer, and the White Sox were like all the Indians. That thing was well surrounded.
It's a line that was used about Gary Maddox of the Phillies. 3/4 of the world is covered by water. The other quarter covered by Gary Maddox. You could apply that line to Lance Johnson in this series.
Sure could.
Chris Hoiles is up with 1 out in the 9th. A single, reached on a fielder's choice and grounded to third. With the White Sox bullpen not allowing a run in the 8th inning, they've now gone 32 consecutive innings without allowing a run.
The Orioles need a blast.
That's well hit. Deep left field. Going, and gone to tie it up.
They got it. Told you he was a tough hitter. One of the toughest outs in that lineup right now.
Chris Hoiles ties it up. Juan Bell sends a fly ball to right. But it's playable for Mike Huff. 2 outs in the 9th inning. Thigpen threw that ball right in Hoiles' wheelhouse. He likes the ball from the middle of the plate in. That was a fastball right there about waist high. There's a stat we mentioned earlier. The White Sox 46-1 when leading after 8 innings, but they've lost the lead in the 9th.
Yep. So it wasn't insurmountable.
And now Mike Devereaux, who's had so many late inning heroics for the Orioles, comes up there with a chance to win it. He could turn around one of those fastballs. White Sox bullpen string of consecutive scoreless innings has come to an end at 32 and a third inning.
There's the hero.
Called strike, and it's 1-1 to Devereaux.
Oh, these hard-throwing relievers, they throw a lot of pitches there that could be hammered, but because of the velocity out there on the mound, they obviously often throw balls by them or they pop them up or beat them into the ground.
1-2 to Mike Devereaux. That's the 9th home run allowed by Bobby Thigpen in 56 innings. It's a lot of home runs for innings pitched.
You bet it is.
Devereaux strikes out. So we go to extra innings with the score tied 4-4. Chris Hoyle's home runs have certainly been timely. He's hit 7 this year, and the last 6 have either tied the game or put the Orioles ahead. And his home run off Bobby Thigpen in the bottom of the 9th has tied it up and sent it into extra innings. And Mike Flanagan takes over. The White Sox have played 17 extra inning games. They're 12-5. The Orioles have played 11. They're 4-7.
Boy, 12-5. That's outstanding. I'll tell you that. But Big Ben pitched a superb game, didn't he?
Sure did.
Yes, indeed. Neither starter with any say in the final outcome of this ball game. But boy, this has turned into a terrific contest. We have seen so many things happen in this game. Boy, this is one of the ones you replay in the offseason.
Ben went 9 innings. He allowed 4 runs on 5 hits, walked 3, and struck out 6. And threw a total of 120 pitches, 71 for strikes. So Mike Flanagan, who was the losing pitcher in game 2 of this series, giving up a 2-run homer to Ozzie Guillen, comes back in the 10th inning of the final game.
With an earned run average of less than 1 over his last 22 ball games. Well, he's the guy that you want to have out there right now, I guess, in an extra inning game.
And 2 of the 3 hitters coming up are left-handed batters.
Yep.
Both Johnson and Guillen swing from the left side.
Not Guillen. Let's don't get him up there.
He's coming up a little later. Can't help it. Strike 1 to Lance Johnson. Left-handers are batting just 164 against Mike Flanagan. Bounce to Cal Ripken. Better hurry.
Yeah.
Got a close play to Johnson. Lance can really run.
Well, when they measured it out to 90 feet, they knew what they were doing. If that would have taken one more bounce, he'd have beaten it easily. Look at that. Down bang bang.
Some shortstops wouldn't have been able to get him. Cal probably has the best arm in the league. Scott Fletcher up for the 4th time. He's grounded out twice and flied to right. Fly ball into shallow right center. Devereaux coming on to make the catch. And so Flanagan and Ozzie Guillen will meet again.
Well, you know that he's going to pitch with much more care this time. He's not going to let that breaking ball break in from behind him and then come right over the heart of the plate. That's not going to occur.
Flanagan was brought in to face Guillen in the 2nd game of the series in the 7th inning with a man on, and Guillen hit the ball over the right field wall for a home run to put the White Sox ahead 5-4, and they ended up winning it 6-4. You think it'd be the percentage move, left-hander to left-hander, and with Flanagan's success against left-handed hitters. But going into that at bat, Guillen was 10 for 19 lifetime against Flanagan. Oh, 4-4 tie in the top of the 10th inning. High fly ball to right. Orsulak jogs in, and that does it for the White Sox. They go to the bottom of the 10th. Joe Orsulak, Cal Ripken, and Brady Anderson scheduled to bat. Chris Hoyle's one-out home run in the bottom of the 9th inning off Bobby Thigpen tied the score and sent it into extra innings, and now we go to the bottom of the 10th inning. With the Orioles set to send up Joe Orsulak, Cal Ripken, and Brady Anderson.
down, Bertie.
The only pinch hitters the Orioles have left would be Tim Hewlett and Bob Melvin. A couple of right-handed batters. The White Sox still have 4 men left. Joey Cora, Ron Karkovice, Dan Pasqua. 3 left for the White Sox, 2 left for the Orioles. Orsolak hits it hard, but right at the second baseman, Scott Fletcher. 1 down. Cal Ripken coming up. Singled his first time up. This is home run Saturday night. Off Garcia, his 24th of the season. But it was to no avail as the White Sox won 6-4.
Yeah, Ramon hung that breaking ball right up there. You won't see that same pitch from Thigpen in this at bat. I didn't think.
A slider lined into right center field for a base hit. High hanging slider by Thigpen.
But he did. He threw it right up there for him to knock.
That's the second hit Bobby has allowed, the other the home run. And here's Brady Anderson, who entered the game as a pinch runner after Dwight Evans delivered a pinch hit single in the 8th. Brady hitting just 189. Fastball is high, ball 1. Outside of play, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
It's like Figgy's just rearing back and throwing for the heart of the plate. You do have to turn the dial up a little bit.
Fouled off, and it's 1-2. Cal Ripken at first. The score tied 4-4 in the 10th. The White Sox in good shape. Looked like they had this one wrapped up until Chris Hoyle homered the bottom of the 9th to tie it up. High, lazy fly ball to left center. Here comes the omnipresent Lance Johnson. 2 outs. Coming up. He had a home run in the 6th inning off starter Jack McDowell. Also walked twice and grounded to short. Strike 1. Line shot that knocks Thigpen down. He's got the ball and throws him out. What a play by Bobby Thigpen. And he appears to be all right.
My God, if we've seen some action tonight, look at this. He hits that ball so hard you can't pick it up. Thigpen knows it's on him, and there it is right there for him to pick up. How about that piece of defensive maneuver? Boy, Boy, fate's got to be on your side to knock that thing down. That could easily have hit him right in the chin.
Knocked his glove off, and he makes the play. So we go to the 11th with the score tied 4-4. $25,975 have turned out tonight. They've seen just about everything. Controversial plays. So manager Johnny Oates ejected from the game moments ago. A great play by Bobby Thigpen and a ball that almost took his head off. Mike Flanagan facing Tim Raines up there right-handed. Showing bunt, and he takes high and away. Ball 1. Raines, a switch hitter. Right-handed, batting .292, about 50 points higher than left-handed, although he has fewer at-bats on the right side. And Flanagan falls behind 2-0. Mike worked his scoreless 10th inning.
Well, you don't like to give up anything, but you can see the defensive posture of the infield right there with Gomez hugging the third base bag pretty closely.
Raines hits a ground ball. Bell trying to get over and does, and the toss to first in time. Juan showing good range to throw out the speedy Tim Raines.
Yep, it's coming down to a game of defense and relievers.
First baseman, Robin Ventura.
That's an easy play for him.
You couldn't have made it.
Maybe not. I wouldn't have been over there.
You played second base.
Oh, I like second. I was pretty good second baseman. You bet.
Didn't you play second base in that Timmy Martinez 3 pickoff game against Toronto?
Yeah, but I had a lot of activity out there with Cleveland. I played second base a lot.
1 ball and 1 strike to Robin Ventura.
It's a fun position because it's a busy position, but it's very demanding.
Ventura gave the White Sox a 4-3 lead with his 8th inning single, and then Hoyles tied it up with a 9th inning home run. Sidearm breaking ball is outside. 2-1. Former collegiate player of the year at Oklahoma State. He nails one to left center and deep. Devereaux racing back and can't get it. Ventura's into second with a double.
Well, Ventura's hitting dramatics are well documented. Just take a look at the month of July, where he overrode all the pitching that was against him. It doesn't make any difference, right, left-handed. No effect on this Yago. This guy was a great collegiate hitter.
That's his 9th hit in this series.
Gee whiz. Almost got it.
And Greg Olson will be brought in to face Frank Thomas with a go-ahead run, potential winning run at second base.
Well, both teams' closers are going to be in this game in a tie situation, but you got to have him in there. There's no telling how long either one of them are going to pitch.
So Mike Flanagan worked an inning in the 3rd. He allowed no runs on 1 hit, no walks and no strikeouts, and the runner at second is his responsibility.
Yeah, Michael missed that ball by couldn't have been by a few inches tops. Well, this could be Chicago's best shot at it right here, middle of the lineup. One of the best hitters coming up.
Greg Olson.
One of the best short relievers in the business out there, Greg Olson. Although he's not had a year this year that measures with his 2 years in the past.
Only worked a scoreless inning yesterday with the White Sox ahead 7-0. Came in to work the final inning just to get in some work.
But these kinds of situations right here usually bring out the best in these kinds of pitchers. This is the kind of challenge that they're bred into.
He'll be facing Frank Thomas, who is 1-for-1 lifetime against him.
Well, you can bet that breaking ball is going to be in fine action here in these next 2 hitters.
Thomas, and then Carlton Fisk, the scheduled hitters. Here comes Big Frank.
He got first base open, but for the most part, these short relievers are out there just to get everybody out. They don't pitch around very few people.
So a good matchup here. Two guys from Auburn University, Olson and Thomas. There are two of the 4 Auburn Tigers here. Bo Jackson and Stacy Jones also went to Auburn. Robin Ventura at second base. 1 out. The score tied 4-4 in the 11th inning. Thomas is hitless tonight. He's flied out, grounded into a double play, and walked. Fastball low, ball 1. The thing about Thomas is not only is he a power hitter, very patient, good idea of the strike zone. He leads the league in walks. He's walked 96 times.
Well, he sizes the situation up there. That's what impresses me about him. Not an anxious hitter.
1-1.
But he's very explosive.
And he's tough to pitch to. If you try to pitch him away, he's got enough power to hit it out to the opposite field.
But he makes outs just like everybody else. You got to find some way to get him out.
Fastball in there. Strike 2. 1-2.
He's such a good breaking ball hitter that sometimes there is a reluctance to use that pitch, but Craig shouldn't feel reluctant to throw his breaking ball at any time.
Went with the fastball. And it's 2-2.
Chris wanted a little higher in the strike zone. Frank's trying to wonder when that breaking ball's coming. It's got to be on his mind somewhere.
Fastball, got it. Nothing but heat. He didn't see a curveball. Kept the ball away from him. Fastball's away.
But that's when the curveball is most effective. And you don't have to use it, and the hitter's thinking about it. He just never believed he wasn't going to get it. Could be the same thing here.
And now Carlton Fisk, who's 1 for 2 lifetime against Olson. He had a double in the 4th inning. Starts him off with a curveball that's low. Fisk is a good high fastball hitter. Ventura at second base. The score tied 4-4 with 2 outs in the 11th. Another curveball, grounded foul. 1-1. So he threw Thomas nothing but fastballs. He's thrown Fisk 2 breaking balls. Another curveball, 1-2. 3 straight curveballs. Fisk is thinking, now what's he going to throw?
Yeah. That's what was on Thomas's mind. This pitch right here. That's why he didn't react quick enough to those heaters.
But he throws him another curveball. good fastball hitter. I don't think he'll throw him a fastball.
Well, unless you're a real gambler, you wouldn't sit on that curveball. You'd certainly be thinking about it, though.
Fastball away. Trying to get Fisk to chase something off the plate. And it's 2-2.
Now, as soon as the catcher moved out, the umpire wasn't going to call that pitch. Sometimes if you backhand it and try to frame it, you might get the call. But when the catcher moves out there, you're just doing that for effect.
Curveball. Fisk gets a piece of it and bounces it to Cal Ripken, who throws him out. Well, the White Sox leave a runner stranded at second. We go to the bottom of the 11th with the score tied 4-4. Tom?
All right, Mel, we're going to update you on the pennant race right now. The Boston-Toronto game continues to be a high-scoring matchup between the Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays. As we take a look at the Washington Post scores one more time. Boston 10, Toronto 7, the game in the 8th inning. Now, John Olerud had a run-scoring fly ball. Candy Maldonado drove in a couple of runs with a 2-run homer. He also added a run with a fly ball. Minnesota has beaten California 7-3. Greg Gagne hit a 2-run homer. The Twins are putting some pressure now on the White Sox to win this game. The White Sox lose their 2 back. If they win, they'll trail by a game. Milwaukee leads Texas 10-7 in the 8th. The Rangers will be here tomorrow night for a doubleheader. B.J. Surhoff an RBI double. Darryl Hamilton drove in 2 with a single. Oakland and Seattle, a 1 tie in the 5th inning. Now in the National League, Jerome Walton with an RBI single to give the Cubs a 3-2 win over the Mets in the 10th inning. The Pirates have extended their lead to 7 in the National League East, with the Cardinals leading 3-2 in the 11th inning. Barry Bonds hit his second 2-run homer of the game, his 20th of the season. Boy, what a team, the Pirates. They went from a potential being 5 down to 7 up by winning with that 2-run homer by Bonds in the bottom of the 11th inning. Talking about a pivotal game. They may look back on this one tonight as the one that pretty much iced it away for the Pirates in that division. Philadelphia won its 13th in a row, beating Montreal 2-1. The Philadelphia Phillies, of course, have the longest winning streak right now in baseball. Giants lead Atlanta 1-0 in the 3rd. Los Angeles 1, Cincinnati 0 in the 2nd, and San Diego 3, Houston 0. That game now in the 4th inning. That's a complete look at the Washington Post scores. Let's go back upstairs now to Mel Proctor and John Lowenstein.
We get a pitching change for the White Sox. Don Paul takes over for Bobby Thigpen. Thigpen unable to do the job, giving up a home run to Chris Hoyles in the 9th. So that's a blown save for Thiggy, his 7th blown save of the year.
No telling how long this game is going to go. So exit Bobby Thigpen in favor of Don Paul. Statistically, they're not losing anything with Don Paul out there. What they lose in velocity, they gain in trickery. His forkball out there and his nastiness and his deception.
Thigpen went 2 1/3 innings. He allowed 1 run on 2 hits, walked on, struck out 2. Paul worked 2 scoreless innings in the 2nd game in relief of starter Ramon Garcia, and he has a 9-inning scoreless stretch over his last 4 appearances. David Segui leads off the 11th inning. Segui pinch hit for Chito Martinez in the 8th inning against Thigpen and struck out. Don Paul throws a fastball, curve, and split finger pitch. When he's pitching well, he's keeping it down and getting a lot of ground balls. And he jumps ahead in the count 0-2 to David Segui.
That's not a mystery pitch. That's that forkball you're talking about.
Like Mike Huff, he's a local product, grew up in the Chicago suburbs and attended the University of Illinois. Since arriving in Chicago in '88, he's pitched well for 3 years. Middle relief. There's a splitter, and it's low, 1-2. For his break straight down.
Yeah, he snaps it off real well. got long fingers. That certainly helps. But he looks like your next door neighbor. You'd expect to hit him.
Comes in with a fastball that misses inside, and it's 2-2.
So he didn't miss by much if he missed at all.
Leo Gomez is on deck. And then Chris Hoyles, whose home run in the 9th inning tied it up and sent it into extra innings. Fly ball to left field, but playable for Tim Raines. 1 out. Leo Gomez 0 for 3 tonight with a sacrifice bunt. In the midst of a deep slump, Leo is 7 for his last 52.
But there's always the possibility of a tater when he's up there.
Ball 1.
And that's the hope he brings when he comes up to the batter's box. He could hit a homer. Just like Chris Hoyles.
And Paul falls behind in the count. 2-0 to Gomez. Paul has allowed 1 home run in 42 2/3 innings.
I take back everything I just said.
Last year, the entire year in 76 innings, he allowed 7. So he didn't give up many. Called strike, and it's 2-1 to Leo Gomez. 4-4 tie in the bottom of the 11th. The outfield playing Leo straight away.
No extra base hits. You don't want any extra base hits in extra innings.
Strike called. It's 2-2. Third baseman Graybeck and the first baseman Ventura both guarding the lines late in the game. And Paul goes to a full count with Gomez. To give the Orioles a 5-4 victory, and the 2 rookies coming through. Chris Hoyles with a game-tying home run tonight. Leo Gomez with a game-winning home run, the 11th. The totals tonight for the Orioles: 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors, 7 left. For Chicago, 4 runs, 6 hits, no errors, and 3 left. The winning pitcher is Greg Olson. The loser is Don Pauls. He allows only his 2nd home run of the year. Our Texaco star of the game tonight, no doubt about it, Leo Gomez, in the throes of a deep slump, coming up to the plate with 7 hits in his last 52 at-bats against a pitcher who normally keeps the ball in the ballpark. He hits a game-winning home run, and Texaco will donate $50 to charity in Leo Gomez's name. Texaco System 3 gasoline. Try System 3 because all gasolines are not the same. Tom Davis is standing by with one of tonight's stars, Chris Orioles, who had a game-tying home run the 9th off Bobby Thigpen. Tom?
Well, you forced this extra inning affair, Chris. Tell us about the ball that you hit out of the ballpark.
First pitch fastball inside about belt high, and had a good swing on it and hit it into the seats.
What happened there at third base earlier in the game there? I mean, you pretty much had a bird's eye view of it, I guess.
I don't know. I guess the ball, the third base umpire called a foul, and the home plate umpire overruled him and said that Ventura tagged Randy before he got back to the bag. That's all I know about it.
That's as good as you could see it, I mean, from your vantage point?
I couldn't really see it. I was running, and they said that he tagged Randy before he got back to the bag, so that's all I know.
Now, Thigpen, I mean, let's face it, he was throwing a lot of heat there tonight. I mean, it was just a matter of getting good wood on the ball and timing his fastball.
Yeah, I really hadn't seen the ball good all night until the last couple of bats, and you know, he threw me a fastball inside, and you know, I was just lucky enough to get good wood on it.
Finally, this losing streak is over. Why is this club having so many problems trying to win a ball game here in Baltimore?
I don't know. I guess if we knew, we could figure it out and try to do something about it. I don't really know if it's the pressure being home, or I don't know what it is. If it's a ballpark, I really can't tell you.
Well, it's a nice comeback tonight. You hit the tying home run, and then Leo Gomez delivers the game winner, and we appreciate you stopping by with us. Chris Orioles, once again, one of the hottest Orioles on the club, especially since the All-Star break. We'll be back with more here on Home Team Sports in just a moment. Well, welcome back to the ballpark here in Baltimore. The Orioles finally break the losing streak, and they did it in fine fashion, playing somewhat home run derby tonight with Randy Milligan hitting a homer to tie it up at 3. Then Chris Orioles hitting a home run to tie it at 4. And then Leo Gomez coming through with a game-winning home run off of Don Paul. So the Orioles finally break the losing streak. The wins are so rare here at home, I feel like I cover the visiting team after the game so often that it's very rare that we're here over in front of the third base dugout. The Sherwin-Williams pitching update belongs to Greg Olson, who records his second win. He pitched in relief of Mike Flanagan. Let's face it, Ben McDonald pitched a pretty good game tonight. Gave up 4 runs, but Flanagan came on after that, and then Greg Olson. And Olson is the Sherwin-Williams pitching update with his second win. And speaking about Olson and Auburn, it looks like Stacey Jones may pitch tomorrow night's second game. He will definitely pitch. Bob Malachy will pitch the first game as the Orioles play 2 against the Texas Rangers. Now, the doubleheader starts at 5. Our coverage here on Home Team Sports tomorrow night will begin at 7. We'll have a partial coverage of that first game starting at 7, and then a pregame show in between the 2 games, and then the actual second game in its entirety tomorrow night here on Home Team Sports. So the Birds win. They break their losing streak at 5. They gain only their second win at home in the last, I think, 11 games. And for a final comment on tonight's game, let's return you back upstairs now to Mel Proctor and John Lowenstein.
All right, Leo Gomez winning it in a deep slump, 7 for his last 52, 0 for his last 14. He came up in the 11th and homered to give the Orioles a victory.
It's time to celebrate and get down. The Orioles have won at home, folks. That is a master accomplishment. Hey, it goes to show you, you were talking about Don Paul, 1 dinger this year. No one is immune to giving up home runs, and not only produced the tie, produced the victory.
Tomorrow night, the Texas Rangers will be here for a doubleheader. Bob Malachy will start the first game. Stacey Jones the second as he makes his first major league start.
Boy, and what an explosive series that should be. Texas has one of the best offensive teams in baseball. Hey, maybe the Orioles are getting real hot right now. Hey, they've won. We've got to be happy about that.
It seems to have a normal temperature. So I guess he'll be back again tomorrow night. That'll do it for tonight. Again, our final score in 11 innings is the Orioles 5. Winning it 5-4. That's it. Let's get out of here. Home Team Sports coverage of Orioles baseball has been brought to you in part by Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered for a real draft taste. So get out of the old, get into the cold. By the exciting new Subaru SVX Luxury Sports Coupe, coming this August to a Subaru dealer near you. By Texaco System 3 gasoline. Try System 3 because all gasolines are not the same. By Diet Pepsi. You got the right one, baby. By your local Sherwin-Williams paint stores. The pros know. Ask Sherwin-Williams. And by Suzuki and your Baltimore, Washington Suzuki dealers. Everyday vehicles that aren't. The executive producer of Home Team Sports is Jody Shapiro. Our director of production is Bill Brown. Tonight's game was produced by Chris Glass. Our technical director has been Tim Walbert. Our associate producer, Bill Bell. Canon USA, the official camera of Orioles telecast on HTS. Promotional consideration provided by Slick 50, the engine wear protector, lubrication that lasts 50,000 miles. This is Mel Proctor for John Lowenstein and Tom Davis saying so long from Memorial Stadium, where again our final score in 11 innings is the Orioles 5 and the White Sox 4. Orioles baseball returns to HTS tomorrow night at 7 o'clock when we join Game 1 of a doubleheader with the Texas Rangers. HTS will also bring you Game 2 as well. That's all here, live and exclusive on the channel you cheer for, Home Team Sports. Orioles baseball is a presentation of Home Team Sports.